Hey, it's Greg Nicotero. You are, or if you're not, should be watching Alpha Romero on YouTube.
Hey, what's up, everybody? And you are watching Alpha Romero on YouTube, and this is the 2025 Living Dead Weekend preview show. The third year in a row I'm doing this. Last year I had Larry on for the preview, bringing in another fella here that's got helps bring it all together. Mr. Daz Sargeant. What's going on, everybody? What's going on, guys? Glad that you could join us. Larry getting situated down there, as he normally does. There you go. But yeah, down here, first time on the show. Man makes a lot of things happen for Living Dead Weekend. It also works in association with Image 10. Does a lot behind the scenes. One and only Daz Sargeant. Coming to us all the way from across the pond, as they say. How you doing, Daz?
Good, man. Yep, I'm all right. Nice to see you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I'm glad to finally get you on. And of course, next to him, you all know him. He's the man of the hour, the tour guide that's going to be working his ever-loving ass off all weekend long, even adding tours this year. Of course, Lawrence DeVincentz, our old buddy Larry. How you doing, Larry?
Hey, how are you guys? It's good to see you both, and I'm very excited for the weekend. I'm going to be very busy, but I'm excited.
You're kind of like a Godzilla movie right now. You're you're talking and then like your words are following like a couple of seconds behind.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Just lagging a bit, innit?
Yeah, just a little bit of a lag there. Let me see here. Jump out and jump back in to the room if you can. See if that'll clear things up.
Not your physical room.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, not physically. You know what I mean?
Now it's going to get complicated.
Uh-oh. All right, we're going to let Larry figure that out. There he goes. All right, we'll let Larry figure that out for a second there. But yeah, we got quite a few people in chat already. Got some questions coming in already for you guys. We'll get Larry back in here in just a second. We're going to see who all's in here. Say hi to everybody on this Sunday afternoon. I don't usually do streams this early, so it's good to see everybody still coming out. Larry hopping back in here. We'll see if that takes care of things. But we got Night 90, Robert Harbitz in the house. What's going on, Robert? Hello, Mike. Here for another round. Always good to have you, my man. Man himself, Matt Landrum's in the house. Says, afternoon, fellas. See yins in a few days. Yes, sir. We just did the Day of the Dead watch along with Matt and Paul and Will and Synth and Ed last night. That was a lot of fun. And you could just see, I mean, Larry pointed out last night, Matt's passion for Day of the Dead. I was really glad to get him on for that and let him talk about that. So say something now, Larry. Let's see how you're doing.
Can you guys hear me now? Am I synced up?
Yeah. That's good.
100 times better. You're good to go.
Good.
Got Nathan B in the house. What's going on, Nathan? Good to see you. TCCK Gaming says the LA fires looked like this in Day of the Dead. Yeah, very similar. We got Bonnie Bailey's in the house. What's up, Bonnie? Good to see you. Brandon Salisbury's in the house. What's going on, Brandon? Which Brandon just showed me something he just picked up here recently. Romero Resident Evil collectible that he's got his hands on is pretty fucking cool. I think he posted it on Facebook in one of the, I think it was the Living Dead Weekend group, I believe. Yeah, pretty cool. Check that out. We got Matthew Horrors in the house. What's up, Matthew? John Vulo's here. What's going on, John? Let's see.
The sleuth, Vulo.
Yeah. Or as I call him, the Romero archaeologist. He's just digging up names and finding out all this information.
Unearthing the dead.
Yeah, there you go. Robert said, I think it's been almost a year since I've been watching your channel. Very cool, man. Well, happy anniversary to you, my man. Glad you're still here. Glad you're hanging on. You're not sick of me yet. Somehow, I don't know. Got 1911 guitar dude, Mr. Brett's in the house. What's up, Brett? Good to see you. Brandon said, cannot wait to see everyone at LDW. And October 31st, 1517. That's a new name. What's up? It says we'll be visiting from San Antonio, Texas. So making the long journey. Very cool. But yeah, glad to have everybody in the chat. Like I said, we'll be going for a little bit here. But before we get started, I wanted to, because Daz, you're new to the channel. I haven't had you on here before, so just wanted to talk to you for a second and find out like what your origin story is. How did you first discover Romero, his films, your memories of that? Go ahead.
Let me think back now. I mean, the first zombie film I watched was Fulce's Zombie. You know, zombie flesh eaters over here. One of my neighbours rented it when I was far too young to watch it, and you know, I think I must have been probably 4 or 5. I don't know, and like that just ruined me when I was a kid. But
yeah, I have a 4-year-old. I have a 4-year-old who's really into like Child's Play, and like last night she went to bed watching Leprechaun. Like she's into that. But Zombie is like one of those. Like Fulci's like one that I'm just like, because she's pointed that out before on my Blu-ray shelf. She's like, I want to watch that. And, you know, I'm like, no, not quite yet, not quite yet.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think that's what got me into zombies. Like that, you know, that fascinated me. I mean, my dad had he had a Super 8, you know, projector, and we had Frankenstein on that. So I used to love watching that stuff when I was little. So yeah, that kind of got me into horror. And then I think I had a portable black and white TV in my room when I was little, and I remember seeing Night of the Living Dead one night. I don't think I watched it all, but like I didn't know what it was at the time, but I remember watching that and thinking, wow, you know. And then later on, because I were into horror, you know, and the video nasty thing were happening over here. So once they basically, you know, they said we weren't allowed to watch these kind of movies. So that just made me want to watch them movies even more. So
yeah, funny how that works, right?
I collected all that stuff when I was younger, you know. Collected video nasties, and you know, it evolved from there really. And you know, I used to collect everything horror from you know, Chainsaw Massacre, Friday the 13th, but it kind of gets out of control when you know, when you've got an whole range of things that you're trying to collect. And my love were Romero stuff, you know, so I kind of focused more on Romero and didn't really collect all else. So yeah, that's. But again, like Dawn of the Dead, I probably didn't see it, and I can't remember what year it was, but I think it got re-released. It got taken off at shelves, you know, the Intervision version. That got took off the shelves. I didn't see that particular version when that were out. But years later, I mean, I was searching for it for years, and I ended up finding someone who got me a bootleg. I probably saw that after Day of the Dead, yeah.
So okay, so you saw Day first then. So did that change your perspective on, so seeing Day of the Dead, like for me, like seeing Day of the Dead after Dawn, I was kind of disappointed because I was such a fan of Dawn. I wanted another version of Dawn of the Dead, and I got Day of the Dead. So when you saw Day first, did you like Day?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I mean, so
that was one of them. That was one of them movies that we knew it. I mean, I read Fangoria and stuff, so I knew what were coming. And Day of the Dead, I think we were waiting outside the video shop the day it were out, and I think we went to try and rent it, and it were out. We couldn't get it on that day because it were out. So you know, you have to wait a couple of days. So, but we got it basically straight away. Me and my school friends watched it, you know, and it were like, wow, this is just brilliant. And it was just one of them things. You know, we were all kind of into Romero films back then. So yeah, we're like, then it was trying. Some of my friends had seen Dawn of the Dead when it was out pre-sale, and I just had to hold on for a bootleg. The first bootleg I got were actually black and white.
Oh really?
it had been copied that many times. So I watched it in black and white.
Just drained all the color out of it at that point. It was just like,
yeah. But I collected, like I say, all them video nasty movies and stuff. So I had some contacts who they eventually got me the American version, because again our British version, it was missing like the exploding head and the machete scene. All of that stuff was missing, when I first saw it. So it will then try to track down a color version with the blood
clear
in.
version.
Yeah, which I eventually got. So yeah, but yeah, that's kind of how I got into it.
And you say you mostly just stick to collecting Romero. That's kind of what I had to make the decision to do at some point. It's like I used to collect a little bit of everything. 'Cause I mean, I'm a fan, of course, big fan of Romero, but also a fan of like Texas Chainsaw, Halloween, stuff like that. And it just got to a point where it was like, I can't collect everything that I want to collect, so I'm going to focus specifically on Romero stuff. So now it's pretty much just everything Romero. I have a few things here and there that from other films, but it's mostly Romero. So yeah, I kind of was in the same boat as you. So Larry, I'll let you hop in here just a second. How did you guys meet? How did you and Daz first meet, and what were the circumstances behind that?
Well, I could tell the story if you want.
Yeah, you're lagging again though.
Oh. Oh no.
Yeah, go on, just tell it. We can hear you anyway.
Okay. Well, from my perspective, how it started was I joined Facebook and I started a bunch of George Romero for Day of the Dead and Dawn of the Dead and Creepshow and all this stuff. And I somehow met Daz. He might have sent me a friend request, or I sent him one. And this was probably about 2012. And at one point, I was posting a lot of my collectibles, photos of them and such. And Daz asked me if I had one of these, one of those UK quads for a Night 90. And I didn't. And he had a bunch of them, so he sent me one. And that's how we became sort of friendly. And then
there were another poster that were, you remember the Italian photo buster set? You posted a set, and there were one missing of that.
Yes.
And I had multiple copies of the one he was missing. So like, here, you can have that one. At first I said, I've got the one that you're missing, and he was like, oh, how much do you want for it? I said, no, you can have it for free. So I sent him it to complete his collection of that Italian photo buster set. And that's how then after that as well we became friends.
So he says about 2012.
Yeah, and
okay.
That year decided to sort of put together an informal tour of George Romero film locations, and I decided I was going to be a vendor at the local Horror Realm show that September. And this is like in spring, and I decided I'm going to do this tour. And I said to people on Facebook, anybody who wants to come along, you can come along on this tour, and we can go see a bunch of George Romero film locations in the days after the convention is over, which I was there to vend for. So then that's how me and Daz and Kevin and Mandy all met up, and we went on this tour after the show, and we got into some great places. I mean, we got into the basement at 247 Fort Pitt. We got into the mines from Day of the Dead, which I had prearranged, and I had done about 3 months of research leading up to the trip, and it was just a pretty cool experience. And I got to meet them, we became friends, and that led to everything else, which we do to this day.
Yeah.
So was that your first trip to Pittsburgh, Daz? Was it?
Yeah, 2012. Yeah.
2012.
Larry's car. Yeah, I sent him a message, and I said, because obviously I wasn't sure about driving and stuff there. So I said to him, I said, if I make it over there, can I ride with you in your car? And he was like, yeah, of course you can. Yeah. So that kind of satisfied me that I was going to be safe, you know what I mean? And not just left stranded, So,
just wandering around Pittsburgh. Well, where am I at? Who are these people?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I'd be remiss if I didn't ask. I mean, this is the question that is brought up I think people want the answers to. Was this the year of the infamous Dairy Queen incident, the Washington, PA Dairy Queen incident? Would you like to expand on that, Daz, and tell your side of the story, sir?
I don't know if I want to do, really, that were, yeah, we were rushing. We were in a rush to make it to the cemetery and the farmhouse before it got dark, and we hadn't out to eat all day. So it was like, we pulled into this Dairy Queen, and it wasn't the best. It wasn't the best. It wasn't the cleanest Dairy Queen.
Nothing worse than a bad Dairy Queen, let me tell you.
But we ate the food, even though it wasn't really appealing. We ate the food. But so then on the way to the cemetery, we didn't go to the farmhouse first. We went to the cemetery first. The guy with the gun come out afterwards. But yeah, on the way to the cemetery, I felt my stomach bubbling. Bearing in mind, I'd only known Larry probably 4 days at this point from a convention. That he didn't know me. I was just this fucking wacko from England, and so I thought, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to go. I'm going to have to go. So I thought the best thing to do was just to be quick, stealthily go without Larry knowing what was going on. I'll go and I'll sneak off. So when we pulled into the cemetery, this was a 1990 cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
I let him get out, and because he'd already clocked the locations, the gravestones, and where he were heading for. And so I rooted about in my bag and pretended I was just taking a little bit longer. And he walked off. I could see where he was. And I thought, right, now's my chance. I'll just duck down. Well, first of all, I thought to myself, I'm in a cemetery. I'm in the 1990 cemetery. It's disrespectful. I can't go in the cemetery.
You can't really just squat behind a tombstone or anything.
No,
it's some bad karma right there.
So I thought I have to get out of the cemetery. So I walked down the hill where the car rolls. Actually, the exact location. So if anybody's going to that location where the car rolls down the hill and smashes into the tree, be careful where you're standing. I mean,
it's just fertilizer. It's
2012, so it's probably okay now. But so I quickly rushed down there. I'd seen Larry were busy taking photos. He had no idea that I were, about to go do my business. But I thought I have to get out of the cemetery. So I went down the hill, and there were a fence, and the fence had been broken down. It were all flattened down. So I went over there, and the hill ends up, it's really, really, really steep once you get out of the cemetery.
Yeah.
So, I thought, oh my God, this is a fucking situation. So I had two options. I were either going to shit my pants and then have to ride around with Larry thinking, what the fuck, or go get myself sorted. So why are we even telling this story? Show your viewers that fucking shit, man.
It's infamous at this point, man.
Okay, so I got out of the cemetery. I have no toilet paper out, so I thought, what? Just get it over and done with. I completely dekegged, took my pants off, took my underwear off. I thought I'll use that to clean up. I took my shoes off, right, and I put my wallet in my shoe, and so I'm holding onto this tree because it was so steep. And my shoes are rolling down the hill. My wallet's falling out. I'm like, oh my God, this is a nightmare. Just get this over and done with. So I'd had enough at this point. I did what I was there to do. I got done, and then I bundled up my stuff because it was so steep. I won't put my clothes and stuff back on there, and I just grabbed everything and thought, just get the fuck out of here. Get back to the cemetery. So by this time, he'd noticed I was missing. And obviously he's responsible for me. I'm his passenger, all the way from England.
Being kidnapped by the locals.
Yeah, I could hear him shouting, Daz, where are you? And I'm thinking, oh my God, this is a fucking mess, is this, So he's shouting, Daz. So I ended up going back up into the cemetery with my clothes. All I had on were a t-shirt at this point, and not realizing that it was going to be right there. So I wandered back into the cemetery, but on my way in, because I took my shoes off, I stepped on the broken fence.
Oh
and
no!
a rusty nail went into my foot. So I was limping, like on my way back into the cemetery with no fucking pants on, right? Everything from my waist down. And Larry stood right there in front of me with his arms in the air and he's like, "What the fuck? What the fuck?"
Look like a scene out of Deliverance or something. Like you just coming out of the woods on it with a hobble and bleeding, and
blood pissing out of my foot. And like, oh my god! So I had to then explain to him what the fuck was going on, you know. But
so you're saying that that this happened before you guys got shot at by the guy at the Night of Living Dead house. Okay, because Larry said that it was the guy that was shooting that scared the shit out of you to the point where you had to go. Okay. Okay.
No. After that, we then went to the farmhouse, and that again that was another funny situation because, I mean, to me, you know, Americans have guns, so it was like, okay, you know, but obviously we weren't expecting it, so we drove up the driveway to the 1990 farmhouse, thinking we might be able to have a little talk. And the guy was stood on the porch with a rifle. It wasn't an handgun; it was a rifle. And we basically pulled up parallel next to him. And Larry's looking forward driving, so he didn't see him. I was looking out the window to my right, and he was stood right there. So I just looked at Larry and said, "He's got a gun." And Larry was like, "What?" And put it straight in reverse, and we hauled ass out of there in reverse, you know. And I didn't know what the fuck to expect. But
yeah, I've heard stories. I've the first time Larry back in. Now that the first time that I actually saw the farmhouse with Larry a couple months back, I hadn't been out there. I was too afraid. I've heard stories from other people before that were like, "Yeah, don't go to the farmhouse." I know my buddy Matt Landrum. He visited, but he just from a distance, like on a hill, like that's as close as he got. So yeah, I've heard stories about that before. So I'm not at all surprised that somebody came out with a fucking rifle.
When we left, it started walking up the road towards us, but we didn't want to stick about to find out what we're going to say, you know. So we ended up going up onto the road, which you can see the farmhouse from over that field, and they were still stood on the porch. So we stood there taking pictures with my zoom lens and stuff. And if I had a shot off, I don't know if it were towards us, but or just up in the air,
or just telling you to piss off. Yeah,
get the fuck out of there.
Brian says this story makes Daz an honorary Yinzer in his opinion. So there you go, from a Yinzer, from one Yinzer to an honorary Yinzer. There you go.
Cheers, Matt.
Let me see.
Hey, listen, that was my memory of the order of events. I think he's changing things.
No.
I think we went to the house first, and then we went to the cemetery.
No, because then we drove on that road, and we got out of there. We left. We didn't go back to the cemetery out of that. We carried on driving on that road. When he started firing the gun, it was like, okay, it's time to fucking get out of here. So
I know a way to prove it. I can go look back at the pictures, and I can look at the order of the photos of. I'll see like house photos, you know, from far away, and then I'll see the road photo, and then we'll see the cemetery photos. I know.
All right. Maybe it's right. I mean, I don't know either way, but it was definitely the Dairy Queen that did it to me.
Oh,
we call her the Dirty Queen now. She's the Dirty Queen.
The Dirty Queen.
Yeah.
Please tell me you have a photo of Daz coming up the hill with the clothes and the limp and the.
I don't just
no.
Kind of photo Evans City Cemetery doing something. Never mind.
What's with you in cemeteries, Dad?
Yeah.
We got KGB's in the house. What's up, KGB? He's looking forward to the weekend. Civic-minded Jim the Honest. What's going on, man? As I like to always point out, R.I.P. Rod Tucker. Absolutely. Oh Lord, dogs are losing their minds. I think. Pulling into the house now. Sorry, guys. Jeff, what's going on, man? Down is up. Says hello to Michael, Lawrence, Daz, and all my fellow Living Dead family. Hope everyone is enjoying their Sunday. I was doing fine until these dogs started losing their goddamn minds about something. Civic Minded says saw Wooly and Silver Bullet. Recognize that anger anywhere. Yeah. Jim Baff goes in Silver Bullet. Had a couple of questions come up already for you guys if you want to answer. I know Matthew Horror had a question. Says, hey, Larry, well, this will be my first time attending Living Dead weekend. Are we allowed to bring alcohol to the convention? I'm asking since this is a mall.
That's a good question. I would say don't bring it in and don't drink it there unless you're going to the VIP party and we have alcohol at that VIP party and you could drink it there, but I don't think it's a good idea to drink it at the show.
Yeah, parking lot, if you want to, maybe out of the trunk of your car, maybe. That's kind of what I'll do every now and then. Grab an Iron City out of the cooler in the back or something. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend walking around the mall shit-faced with a bottle of Jack or anything like that.
Yep.
Probably wouldn't appreciate that. And then Jeff had a question. Michael, please ask Lawrence if they're going to be selling the new Day of the Dead poster at the convention. Thank you. The new, I guess, Day of the Dead, the new screenings that are coming out, the new posters.
I think Leaf had made a post. You know, he runs that Red Band screening releasing page. I think he said there's going to be some at the show somehow. Maybe he's going to go or send some with somebody. So there is a possibility, but I don't have any further info except for what he said on his Facebook page.
Yeah, I remember him saying, I think I saw that he said that they will be available. I'm not sure where. There's Everly. Everly, say hi to everybody. Say hi to Larry and Daz.
Hi.
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 Did you get a
Hi.
monkey?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you take it down to mommy? Thank you. But yeah, I think he said, I don't know if they're going to have a booth or something there, but I do remember them saying that they're going to be available at the show. So definitely need to get my hands on one of those. And they had another question. Considering what's going on with the mall now, Lawrence and Daz, do you feel that there will be another convention, even if it's a different location next year? That's the $1 million question, I think. So I guess we can go ahead and get into that.
I can talk about it a bit.
Okay. Floor is yours. Go ahead.
There will definitely be Living Dead weekends in the future, no matter what the future of the mall is, okay? So let's say the mall is demolished next year. There will still be Living Dead weekends somewhere, someplace in Pittsburgh in the area. So you can always count on there being Living Dead weekends, I guess, as long as Kevin is alive, because he runs and organizes the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But people also want to know, is there going to be more shows at the mall? And that's a good question. And recently we got some news, and it looks good that there may be another show or two in the next year and a half.
Okay.
So I know really new news, and I know I've heard that you, Mike, have said that you've heard some rumblings and such, but there are now going to be possibly one, maybe two more shows at the mall. But there are no contracts for those shows yet either. So, I mean, it's just talk. It's not certain until the contracts are signed, but things look good. But then you want to ask, okay, what's going on with the mall? Well, that is unknown. There are rumblings again among people who work at the mall, people who have talked to Kevin. And there have even been people there surveying the land to see, you know, what they could do with it as far as construction or changes or additions, all that kind of stuff. And the indications aren't very positive, honestly, but there's not anything that could be said with any certainty at this point. So it's just sort of a wait and see kind of thing. We have to wait and see what happens, but it does look like we can do maybe one or two more shows of Living Dead weekend at the mall before it's shut down or whatever they're going to do with it.
Okay, well that's good news, because as I said last night, you know, this year everybody's going to be there. Like, don't worry about the future. Enjoy the moment now, because if this is the last one or if there's more to come, we don't know. So just everybody just enjoy it while you can, and don't fret about it too much. So I mean, whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and let's just let's enjoy it while we can. But that's good news. That's very cool. They're because I guess Kevin, he kind of has a pretty good relationship with the new ownership, is what it sounds like to me, just from what I've been hearing.
Well, is that Kevin's there all the time. He has the museum there, so and he has to pay rent, and he has to talk to people, and he tries to talk to as many people as he can. The thing with management is that they're really like off somewhere else. Whoever owns them all, whoever's taking care of the property, they're off somewhere else, and there's just like one person in the office, and that Kevin could talk to, and she used to work in the previous administration from the previous owners. There's of course a big security team and such, but there aren't a lot of like people that run them all currently, because it's just like a scaled down thing until really going to happens.
Mm-hmm. I think I can say there might be some good news coming next week. Probably when we're at the show, we might hear something good for the future.
Okay.
But that's all I can say now.
Oh, come on, you can say a little more.
No, that's all I can say.
It's just us. We're friends
keep
here.
Keep your eyes and ears peeled. There might be some a bit closer to the show or at the show. So that's it for now. So that's a good vibe for you.
Okay, awesome. Another thing I wanted to ask, CK over on Dead Pit actually messaged me asking, because apparently he had heard some rumblings from Sean Clark about possibly doing another show at the mall, and he was wondering, would it be Kevin, or is there a possibility of another, like an outside party coming in and doing something at the mall? Maybe not necessarily a horror hound or something like that, but any rumbling, any thoughts about that? Would that be possible? Do you think that would be a possibility?
I think currently, if there's a show there, it's going to be Kevin.
Yeah,
that's
nobody else.
No one else is going to be doing out. Well,
that's what I thought, because I know Kevin has the relationship there, and he has kind of the infrastructure to make it all happen. And I told him I didn't think that would be the case, but I just wasn't sure. I didn't know what he had heard from anybody else, or if there was any other kind of plans in the works. But I don't think
I can explain that Sean Clark comment, because Kevin is looking to book people for the next event, which is not announced yet. So he had to go to Sean. So that's where that little bit of information is coming from.
Okay.
So Kevin is looking towards the future always, and he is trying to book for the next show. And I don't know if I could say much about that or anything, but he's working ahead, of course,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the one vibe I kind of picked up in kind of talking to Kevin a little bit a couple months ago when me and you were there, Larry. Was he's a planner. He's got plans. Like, and it didn't seem like he was slowing down or really fretting about it too much. He was like, what's the next thing? We got this, and this. Like, it doesn't seem, he's not really saying, oh, this is, what's the point? Why bother? He's just like, no, we're gonna keep doing shit until they tell us not to, basically.
Yeah.
So that's good news. That's good to hear. So I think that'll clear up a lot of questions and confusions I've had, because I've had a lot of people ask, like, is this the last one? Is the mall getting shut down at the end of the year? Like, well, is it moving somewhere else? And if they do, like, I don't know, it's hard to say at this point, but if the event does move somewhere else, is there anywhere in mind that would it go back to Evans City, do you think? Or would it be somewhere in the Monroeville area again? Or what do you guys think?
I mean, I think it's possible it could go back to Evans City, but maybe for one show. I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying that is how it's going to be, but like Larry says earlier, even if there's not another show in the mall, there will be another show, just somewhere else maybe. But
okay,
yeah.
As far as Evans City up there, Kevin has told me a little bit about that, and it mainly depends on whether they build a hotel there, because there have been rumors that they were supposed to build a hotel at that very exit where the Steamfitters Convention Center is, where we had Living Dead Weekend Evans City a couple of years ago. And that would make it really, really cool and better if it had a hotel there very close by, instead of having to drive 10 minutes or whatnot to some other Cranberry if you were going to have a show there. So that would help a lot going towards putting a show on there. But again, you know, it could be anywhere. It could happen up there in Evans City at Steamfitters, or it could be somewhere else, which we have not determined yet. But I don't know of any other place that we would want to have it at this point. That's still something that would have to be discussed in the future, down the line.
Okay. Yeah, I like the Evans City location, the Steamfitters place. I think it was it's a little pricey. Yeah, and a little small. Yeah. But I thought it was a nice location, plenty of parking, and you know, I enjoyed it there. So Matt's saying Leaf will be selling the new day posters. Okay, so Leaf Yonker, who's kind of in charge of all the screenings and stuff. I don't know if he'll have a booth there or not, but I'm guessing he's going to have some available. So I'm definitely going to try to get my hands on some of those. Brian said Kevin did some really good non-dead uses of the spaces with a physical media cell, pretty well attended to. Yeah, he just opened that new the new event hall, whatever, in the mall. And that's where I think that's where a lot of the event this year is going to be taking place, is in that one area, if I remember correctly.
He does have some other space too.
Okay.
Of course, he's got the old what is it, the Hollister space? That's where we have all, you know, different screenings and things when we show a little thing, and after the VIP party or after Friday night's movie, whatnot. And he did get another space in the past month, and he wasn't sure he was going to be able to, but he did. So I don't know where that is yet. We will post a map and such of, you know, the event spaces like we always do every year. It'll be on the website and the Facebook pages and all that soon, very soon, I would assume.
Okay. Yeah. Very cool. Matt's asking, he wants to hear all about the Dark Half 4K and what you contributed. So if you want to, let's go ahead and talk about that a little bit, Larry. So Vinegar Syndrome just released the new 4K of the Dark Half. And Larry did some work on that and contributed to it, and was generous and kind enough to ask me to come along and kind of be his second unit on some of his location stuff this year in Pittsburgh. So that's why I went to Pittsburgh for a few months back, for those of you wondering. And I was like, I can't really say, but you know, when the time comes, we can talk about it. But so now that it's out there, now that it's been available, Larry, do you want to talk about how you got involved? Who reached out to who, and what all you've contributed to it, and what are your thoughts on the finished product, I guess, and what you're expecting in terms of sales and whatnot?
Sure. Of course, I've worked on a lot of different Blu-ray and DVD releases over the years, contributing like scans of, you know, my collectibles and different things. And I've also worked on some location type videos and photos from locations over the years. And the person who contacted me for this, the Dark Half release on 4K, was my producer, editor, and director that worked on the Crazies location video that I did for Arrow back in 2017, when that Between Night and Dawn set, you know, film out from Arrow. Well, I have a video on there for locating the Crazies locations. And the same person asked me to work on this back in October. And I said, of course, you know, I'd love to contribute in any way to this release of the Dark Half. And he said, okay, well, what ideas do you have? So I gave him some ideas of who he should contact, who he should interview, including Christine Romero and different people. And I gave him a bunch of materials too. And I sort of like let it go. I arranged for them to meet up with Christine and do an interview with her. I talked to her personally and made the arrangements. And I figured, okay, it's gonna happen, and they'll let me know if they need any more help and what they want me to do. And they did ask me to do a location piece, and I just didn't know what time frame they would need it and when I would have to do it. So this was October, early November last year. And then January rolls around and I get a message, and my producer, editor, and such, he says, "Oh, we need that Christine Romero interview done, and we weren't able to do it. So can you do it? And can you do it over Zoom or something?" And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, sure, sure. I'll talk to her and I'll get it done." And do you have any ideas for, say, an essay or something for the booklet? And that's also a rush job that you're going to have to get this done in like a week or so, because the Chinese, the Chinese place where they are printing the booklets, Vinegar Syndrome has to print these booklets and things for their releases, and they get it printed in China. And it seemed that in January they didn't really remember or think about the fact that I think February was their sort of like New Year or something. I forget what he said, and they were
something like that.
They were going to be off the entire month of February, so we had to get the materials in for the printed booklet in January. So this interview had to be done quickly, and then if I was going to do an essay, that had to be done quickly. So I had to rush all that stuff, get it done by like the end of January, which is like a week later after he had told me all this stuff. And I did the interview with Christine, and that went really well. And then they decided they didn't want to use that necessarily because they liked my idea for the essay and the subject that I presented to them for the essay. And I ended up incorporating the interview into my essay. And I think it came out pretty good. I've already seen a preview of it because a friend of mine already has that new release. But we got that stuff done before February so it could get printed. And then he's like, "Okay, well, we need that piece if you're going to do locations, some kind of video for the locations of the movie. And we need that done too in about 3 weeks or so." I'm like, "Okay." This is the winter, so I don't necessarily want to go there to Pittsburgh when it's snowing and such.
So much for that.
Yeah, as you'll see in a second, and I get to that part of the story. So I decided on a date. Okay, I couldn't do it because of Super Bowl. I had to work. And the next weekend was the 17th, I believe. And I decided to go on that weekend in February. And then he sends me a message and says, I need it done by the 18th or something. And I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm already scheduled to take off. I'm going to go to Pittsburgh. I'm going to do it on the 17th or whatnot." And I went out on a Saturday to film on Sunday and possibly film on Monday. And I invited you because I knew you're a location fan, you're a George Romero fan, and I thought you'd enjoy it going along for this. So I did all the research, found all the locations, some stuff that nobody had ever found before, and I tried to find every single location, everything I could find. But there were a couple of elusive things that nobody could get back to me on or nobody knew about or remembered. And I contacted a lot of people who worked on the movie. So I went out, and I'm hoping, I'm praying there's not going to be any snow, because I don't want snow. I don't want snow. I thought it would look better without snow. And then like a week before, I see the forecast is for snow that very day, that Sunday. And I'm like, "Oh my God, can this change? I hope this changes in the next 7 days." Every day goes by, it gets closer and closer, and I still keep saying there's going to be snow. So I go up on that Saturday before the Sunday where I'm supposed to film and meet up with you on Saturday, and it still says it's going to snow. And then what do you know? It snows, and it snows like crazy. And we still went out and looked at locations, and we got some good video at certain spots and things that we could get to and things we could get film of inside that day. But we couldn't get to all of them, and it just wouldn't even make sense to go to all of them that very day because it would have looked like crap with snow all over the place. It's coming down like crazy. It was like almost like blizzard. So
it was crazy because like that morning, so like we meet up Saturday at the mall. When I get in, and the whole way up, it was just pissing and pouring rain. So I was like, "Oh, okay, it's just gonna rain the whole time. That kind of sucks, but whatever." We get to Pittsburgh, it's still raining. Wake up the next morning, it's still raining. We meet up for breakfast at King's. Isn't that the name of the restaurant? King's. Have breakfast at King. Oh, that one just closed.
That closed permanently, and I've been to that one a million times. That sucks.
Wow, that sucks. 'Cause yeah, that was a pretty good breakfast. Well, damn, that sucks. Um, but we have breakfast and it's still just raining. And we're done with breakfast. We're outside smoking after before we head out, and it's still raining. And I'm just like, okay, it's just rain. We can deal with that. No big deal. We get in the car. We start to head out, and the rain slowly starts to turn to snow, and then all more snow and more snow, and then before you know it, it's like a friggin' blizzard. And I was just like, my butthole's clenched, and I'm grasping. I'm like, oh man, because we're out on the back roads. A lot of these shooting locations are kind of just out, out in the boonies of Western Pennsylvania. So I'm just sitting there, and Larry's driving, and I'm just like, oh god. And Larry's like, don't worry, it's not a big deal to me, not a big deal to me. But the only two accidents I've ever had as a driver were because of snow or ice or anything. So I'm just like nervous as shit anyway. Um, but it turned we did find a lot of cool stuff. The university we went in there. The one thing though, the locations video, that the final product that's going to be on the disc, they ended up cutting out a lot of some of the cooler stuff that we found, like I guess it's like an old storefront where they had the Castle Rock police station set up. So on the doors of that storefront, on the glass, they still have the Castle Rock police decals on that are still there after all these years. And I don't think they included that in the final cut, did they?
Guess what? The final cut has that.
Okay, so they went back and put it in. Okay.
Because I gave detailed notes on what I liked and didn't like and how it should be enhanced. And a little bit of what I gave was used, and I've seen the final product, and I didn't get a chance to show it to you, but that is in there now.
Okay, good. Because I was like, that's so cool. Like, just to show, like, after all these years, those decals are still there. They're a little faded and not in the best of shape, but they're still there. So I mean, I thought that's pretty cool. And then there was also a chair at the university that I noticed because in the scene where Timothy Hutton's doing his lecture and stuff in the big lecture hall, I noticed there was this like chair, it looked like a throne, and there was like an indentation in the back of the chair, and I kept noticing that when we were looking at the comparison shots. And then so we do some stuff in there, and then we find Thad Beaumont's office, which is located right next to that. We're going around looking in there, trying to find, okay, this was shot here, and then I see that chair, and I'm like, I think that's the chair from the movie. That chair is still here. So we look it up, match it up, and like, that's it. It had the indentation in the back and everything. I was like, holy shit, that chair is still here after all these years. They still have that same exact freaking chair there. So I thought that was pretty cool. I was like, oh man, like you kind of want to be like, you want to make them an offer. I don't know.
I was just going to say, did Larry not buy it?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, how much for the chair? But nobody was in there. That was the thing. Like, I mean, like, no, I don't think I saw one person walk through that. We were there for a couple of hours. I mean, it was pretty empty. We pretty much had the place to ourselves for as long as we needed that day. But yeah, it was very, very cool, very fun adventure, and just the thrill of seeing Pittsburgh in the wintertime in a blizzard, and seeing, especially through downtown Pittsburgh, watching people try to drive, like watching those buses going like 1 mile an hour down those steep hills, and it was just like, it was intense. And then of course we went to Denny's after that, and the power ended up going out, so we were kind of stuck there until we figured out a way to pay so we could get the hell out of there. So, yeah, fun times. But have you seen the final product and everything? What are your thoughts on the whole disc as a whole? I mean, I know there's an interview with Nick Mastandrea that's going to be on there. The DP, that's going to be interesting. Have you seen any of that stuff yet, or?
Well, first, getting back to finishing my story, before I get to that,
go ahead.
I wanted to say one thing. So on that Sunday when it snowed tremendously, I didn't get barely any footage that I wanted. So he left the next morning, and I filmed all Monday morning up until it got dark, and I got to every location that I wanted to. And I got a lot of great footage, and I gave this great script and all this stuff and instructions on what to do with my footage. And my instructions weren't necessarily followed to the letter, and that's putting it lightly. I mean, it didn't turn out how I wanted it to be, but it still is a cool little piece. And I do encourage people to go see it because it's my footage. And it was a fun trip with Mike. And as far as the other special features, I haven't seen any of those. I've only seen my piece, and that's it. But I'm excited to see the Nick Mastandrea interview for a particular reason, because it talks about a little prop magazine, a People magazine movie, and he's on the cover of it. And I have a couple of those, and I was probably going to sell one as soon as people get to know this prop and see, this video talking about this prop, and then I'm going to make a little money off one of mine.
Yeah, it's all about timing. It's all about timing. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to checking all that out. So the Christine interview, there's no plans for that in the future? Or, like, why? You mentioned it a little bit to me, but did they specifically say why they didn't really want to use it as a whole in any kind of way for this release?
They didn't say why they didn't want it, but I had, when I agreed to do the interview, I did it and I gave it to them. And I was sort of editing it, and they were editing it and going back and forth. And I think they wanted to remove certain things, and I didn't like it. So then they were like, let's go with the essay and see how that goes. And then they loved my essay, and I incorporated parts of the interview in that. So then they went with the essay versus having the interview printed, because it was sort of a choice. They were going to have the interview with Christine, or they were going to have the essay from me, and they sort of went with the essay versus the interview. And you talked about, just now you asked, well, what's the future with that? Because I thought it was a very interesting interview. And I think, I should do something with it. Maybe I'll write an article, an piece, concentrating on that interview, and maybe submit it to one of the magazines, say Horror Hound or maybe Fangoria. I know the editors of both of those, so anything's possible. I don't want to go to waste, since I didn't use the entire interview in my essay, only a few sentences and such. So
because I would love to hear that or read that or kind of get that, because just kind of the vibe, because I would love to hear Christine's recollections of that time period, because that's a time period that not a lot of people really talk about in terms of George's career. They just kind of say, oh, the Dark Half came out, it didn't do well, and then he went into 8 years of development hell, and then it's just kind of, but like, you don't hear a whole lot, and nobody was closer to George at that time, or for a lot of that time, than Christine was. So I mean, she would have a perspective on that, that time period that nobody else is really going to have. So yeah, I desperately want to read that or see something happen with that, because I'd love to hear Christine's stories and recollections of that time for sure.
Yeah, the interesting thing was with their interview, it was only about 25 minutes. And when it happens, you're in the middle of an interview, you don't really grasp the, the whole thing and the big picture, and just going through the motions and asking questions and absorbing the whole thing. But then afterwards, I got to see a transcript of it, and I thought, wow, this really was a great interview. And she didn't even think that she had that much to say, but what she did say was very interesting. And like you said, it was a different perspective than you would get from anybody else. And that's what's important. So even though it was 25 minutes and I sort of thought it was maybe a lighter interview at the beginning, as I went over it afterwards, I figured out, like, wow, this is a really great interview. So I really should do something with it.
Yeah, you really, really should. But yeah, so is it still available, Vinegar Syndrome? Or I forget how they do it. Do they just like kind of open up for like short periods of time and then?
Well, here's the deal. Right now, I just looked it up today. You can't order the Dark Half 4K at the moment, because for some reason they do this thing where they're putting on sale all their partner labels for all of June or in July or something, and they don't offer the regular releases to give them a spotlight. So right now, it just started today, the sale. You can't order any of their regular stuff. You can only go look at their website and see all their partner label stuff. And that's crazy to me, because I was going to look it up for something today, and I just saw this. I'm like, what? This is crazy. Yeah. I'm like, I thought something happened to it, and I had to read into the story where they're only advertising and selling their partner label stuff for this month, and I think next month. So they can actually get caught up on all the orders from last month, and they're halfway to Black Friday sale and all that.
Yeah, it's weird how they do that. I guess that's a marketing thing, I guess, for Vinegar Syndrome. I don't know. Whatever they're doing is working, though, because people are still just eating that shit up. So they have a very core audience of people. Like I always joke, I'm like, oh, Vinegar Syndrome, they'll take any piece of shit movie and make it look really nice and then sell it for $60 and people are going to buy it. So, so when they got, some of the stuff here recently, the Dark Half and I think the Norm Macdonald Dirty Work, they just put that out and apparently that was selling like hotcakes. So I think that's about sold out. So, but yeah, sometimes some of the stuff they do is just kind of like, really, does that need to be in 4K? I don't know about that, but um, let me see here. Jeff saying, Lawrence, the behind the scenes for Night of the Living Dead that you did with Sean was amazing, off the hook. Yeah, which speaking of that, if you guys haven't checked that out, in LMA, who we just lost here recently, she makes a little cameo appearance in that as well. So definitely go check that out on the Horrors Hallowed Grounds Sean Clark YouTube channel. Um, um, Let me see. I'm trying to catch up on some of these comments here real quick. Brandon saying Evans City really does need a hotel. Yeah, there really isn't anywhere to stay actually in Evans City.
Yeah.
Let's see, Robert saying hopefully if they do something worthwhile a little later in the year, I can go to that. Yeah, I hope you can, man. I know you missed out on this upcoming one, so I hope you can make it.
Robert, look toward October. Save up for October. I don't know a date yet, but think October.
Okay, because that's usually when the Evans City show used to be, was every October, so makes sense. What do you guys, have you heard anything or know anything about speaking of Robert Night 90, the Night 90 4K that I know is supposed to be coming out this year at some point? Have you guys heard anything about that or?
Nothing.
No? Because I'm thinking, I keep hearing it's going to be later this year. I'm thinking October would be the perfect time to release something like that. So, see, Brandon, I think the problem that makes it so hard is that there's very little locations left of Romero films, and any event anywhere else starts losing the charm. But the show is what's most important. Yeah, what do you guys think of that? Do you think that if the Living Dead weekend doesn't take place inside the Monroeville Mall, that's kind of the thing that kind of makes it special. It's like the only convention of its kind like that, where you can actually have it in the, the mecca, the location, the horror film location. If the event does move to a different location that's not the Monroeville Mall, do you think that hurts the popularity of the event going forward, or what are you guys' thoughts on that? I'll start with you, Daz.
I think people would still go. I think as long as the guests are still coming that people want to meet, then yeah, it is part of the appeal having it in the mall. But I still think it could be done without, not in the mall, just another location, as long as there were good guests and good vendors,
Yeah.
It worked in Evans City. All right, people were there for Night of the Living Dead in Evans City, but we weren't actually in the cemetery. We were in Edco Park, and we had some amazing events with the Living Dead Festival. In there, and we did, we did how many Living Dead weekends did we do in there? I can't remember how many we did, but it still worked, and that we're outside in a park. So
yeah, something like that I think would be really cool. You mentioned the Living Dead Festival. Were you involved from like day one with the Living Dead Festival, which has become Living Dead Weekend over time?
Not day one, no. That 2008. I think Gary started that.
Right.
And there weren't even many people attended, but it just grew like crazy. When word spread about it that the 2009 one were bigger. And then it just, by time, I think my first one was 2013.
2013.
Oh,
Yeah. No, because I went on the tour with you in 2012, and then Gary said he were doing one in 2013. I don't think he had one in 2012, did he? I'm not sure.
It's all the year of fundraising for Saving the Chapel.
Right. Yeah. And then when Romero came in 2014, that crowd was just massive,
Oh, I imagine.
That were really good. But no, we weren't involved from day one. That's how it obviously evolved into the Living Dead Weekend, and that's how we became involved in the Living Dead weekend. Up until then, we were all just friends, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
For the last Living Dead Festival of 2014, I was able to do, I think, like maybe 5 Q&As in the park.
yeah, I think that they're on YouTube, aren't they? Or some
Some of it is.
it, yeah, yeah.
Cool. And it's just kind of grown as time has gone. It's taking place in the mall now, and I think it looks like it's going to be a pretty popular, pretty big crowd this year, from what it seems like. A lot of the stuff is already sold out. I know a lot of the have all the location tickets been sold? The location tour tickets?
Yes, they have. Yeah, all 4 tours are sold out. I have big tour groups, and I got to get through it.
And you usually only did 3.
Exercising and dieting for the past 3 months. I'm ready to go. I'm kind of fit, kind of. I'm ready.
Yeah, they ended up having to add another one because you usually would only do 3, one a day, one on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but the demand was so big this year. I think, they had to add another one, and that one has pretty much sold out, and sold out as well too on Saturdays. So that goes to show a lot. I know the VIP is sold out. Which if anybody has any VIP tickets that they want to get rid of, I know a guy, hit up Synth Addict. He is desperate for a ticket. He will pay above price probably. So get at him. But yeah, the popularity has just kind of grown and grown and grown. I think a lot of people don't realize that this event has been going for quite some time. My first time was 2021. I originally was going to go in 2018. Didn't get a chance to make that happen, but I don't think a lot of people really know the origin stories of how this whole thing started. I don't know if you guys want to touch on that and maybe kind of explain how it started, where it started from, and how it's kind of where it's at now.
I can.
Sure.
Of course, we just talked about the Living Dead Festival, and that was run and organized by Gary Striner. And his last show that he did up in Evans City was in 2014. And at that point, he didn't want to, organize and run a show anymore. And he actually wanted to devote himself to other projects. And then there's a good reason for that, too, because he ended up working on the restoration of Night of the Living Dead. So it's good, really good, that Kevin decided to step in and take over the show. He was going to call it Living Dead Festival at first, but because of various trademarks and things, that didn't work out, and he had to call it something else. So Kevin decided to call his show the Living Dead Weekend, and that started the following year, 2015. So then Gary was off working on the restoration, and that's good. We all wanted that restoration, and it came out beautiful. Everything worked out. Criterion. It was beautiful and still is beautiful. Everybody should go get the Night of the Living Dead Criterion Edition. It's the best version of the movie out there. And that's why Gary stepped away from doing his sort of show. And Kevin took over. So we've had Living Dead weekends starting in 2015 in Evans City through 2019 in Evans City. And then we started Living Dead Weekend Monroeville at the mall in 2017 in conjunction with Steel City Con. And then because they were trying to do like a horror show, and we did it with them together as a sort of thing to test out the waters for us and for them. And they didn't want to continue with that, but we did. So we went our separate way. And then 2018 is when we went on our own at the mall. And that was the big 40th anniversary show for Dawn. And then we did 2019 at the mall. So that's 3 years at the mall. And then, of course, COVID hit, and that shut things down for both shows for a while. And then we started back up in Evans City in 22 and 23, and those were the last 2 shows there. And then we started up at the mall again in 2021, and we've had a show each year since. So we've been going with Living Dead Weekend shows and putting them together since 2015. And I've done all the film location tours for every single event that we've done. My job.
Yeah, I know you've done some for like the Crazies and Living Dead for the old October shows and stuff like that. I've seen those photos. Those are pretty cool. But here's a suggestion from Brandon. He says we can rent out the Sister Limestone Mine to Wampum, the Brady's Bend underground mine. Maybe something like that in the future.
Oh,
Possibly. Um,
Kevin's
yeah.
tried actually getting in the wampum to do a show. Well, maybe not the full show in there, but he's tried getting previously to go in and do somewhat in there for the
yeah,
Living Dead weekend.
yeah. Daz is right, actually. Kevin, of course, everybody wants to go have a show or go see the mines from Day of the Dead. Everybody wants to go there. People try to get in there all the time, and they're well aware that people want to see it because of the movie. So they stop all that, and mostly people can't get in there. But of course, it's always been an idea of Kevin's to try to have some kind of show there, maybe a one-day event show or anything, a screening, and then some of the celebrities appear there for a signing, something. And he's gone to them with proposals, and he's been shot down. I mean, they say no basically because they're busy in certain times of the year with a lot of people bringing in their boats and classic cars and all kinds of things. And plus you have, very secure areas where there are documents and things owned by people and corporations and maybe even the government that have to be secure, and they don't want a whole bunch of people in there. So there are a lot of reasons, and they've just never agreed to do any kind of show or event there. And of course, I think in the future I'll probably try again, especially if the mall is gone. That would be ideal for some kind of event.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't look good. We've tried, and he's thought of it, of course, but no, nothing can happen there.
Nothing could possibly happen. Have you been to the mines before, Daz?
Will Larry back in 2012, yeah. We hit loads of locations, but yeah, we went in the mine. Went in the mess hall that's in the movie, where they're having the food. Yeah, we had that were pretty cool. We got to some locations there inside that not many people have been able to get to. So that were pretty lucky.
So the people that are in charge of that, has that just changed over the years? Have they just gotten more strict about who they'll let in, who they won't? Because I've seen people in the past seemed to be have more access to that area than you do now. It just seems like everybody's just kind of like, yeah, they won't let you even close now.
Yeah.
Well, I could tell you a bit about that. As far as me and how I got in there, it's because of a guy named Scott Goldberg. He recently directed a movie. I think it's called The Forest. It's Shelley Duvall's last movie. But years ago, like say 2010 or 11 or something, he bought some office space there, and he bought that because he wanted to film in there, and he shot a sort of short film with Laurie Cardell and John Amplis, and it was to maybe generate interest for a bigger project. So he got office space there, and he filmed something there, a short film. It's out there, and nothing ever happened. He couldn't get money or financing for his full project. But he knew people there, and I had been talking to him, and he's the reason why I got into the mines. He knew exactly who to contact and to ask for permission, and I contacted this woman, and I think she's retired now, as far as I know. But I contacted her, and I said I wanted to bring a bunch of people there, and she said, well, if you pay, maybe $20 a person, we can have this arranged. And there's a guy that works there who worked there during the filming. His name is Skip. And actually on the 2013 Blu-ray and DVD of Day of the Dead, there's a feature, with him where he talks about retirement. So that guy is actually the guy who gave us the tour, and he's long gone. And the money went to him for the tour. So it was really because of Scott Goldberg. He hooked me up with the right person, and then we paid, and we got Skip to give us a tour. And then these days, I don't think there's anybody left that would even know where to show people where things happened. So it makes it even more trying to get in there when nobody really knows much about that.
Right. That's unfortunate. There's money to be made there for sure for those people. Definitely an interesting question here. Lawrence, I have an official press kit for Day of the Dead. Do you know if they made an official press kit for Dawn? Did they make an official press kit for Dawn? I don't.
Of course they did. I have one. I believe Daz has one. They're out there, but they're not. They're really, really hard to find, actually, for some reason. They're not in abundance. Day of the Dead ones are a little bit easier to find, but the Dawn ones are super hard to find.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen a full Dawn press kit. Not on eBay or anything. Not recently for sure.
Nope.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Stugas? Stugas Dives. Oh shit, it's early, dudes. Yeah, early for us. There's Thomas. What's going on, man? Says we will survive always. Going to be the biggest one for sure this Living Dead weekend. Very cool. Yeah, I'm thinking it will be. It's probably. I know 2021 was a big one because it was the first year after COVID, and they had they didn't do one in 2020. So I think COVID just kind of woke everybody up and was like, oh shit, like we better go out and do things while we can. Like because we just went through a whole year where we couldn't do anything. Everything was canceled and everything was changed. So 2021 was big. I'm fairly certain this will be as big, if not bigger, than 2021.
With the Return of the Living Dead one on it, and
Yeah.
And
yeah, I won't have to fly. I couldn't fly over for that one. The flights won't let me go.
Oh, that's a bummer.
While we Daz here, I wanted to say something and make a point about Daz, because I don't know if everybody really knows what Daz does for Living Dead Weekend. Of course, you can see, what I do. I do the tours. I host the tours, and I'm a George Romero expert and all that. But Daz does so much for the Living Dead Weekend, and I think that he needs to have a little bit of spotlight on him. I mean, and he's more of a reserved guy, and he doesn't even care, I don't think, really about having the spotlight, but it should be known what he does.
I picked that up. I got that vibe from Daz. Daz is just like, I don't need the bright lights and the glitz and the glory.
So,
but he deserves it.
Yeah, of course. And as far as me, he helps me every year. Okay, you get these beautiful programs for the Living Dead Weekend film location tours at the mall. And Daz designs the covers of each one of them for me. He's done it for me since my first mall tour in 2017. And I give him a credit on the back of the tour guide program. It says his name on the back. But I wanted everybody to know in particular that he designs the cover. I did all the rest, the interior and the back and stuff, but he designs my beautiful cover every year, and I appreciate that so much. And then besides that, he does so much for Kevin as far as running the website. And Daz, why don't you tell people what you do for Kevin? It's really important what you do. You're a major part of things.
Yeah, man.
Well, yeah, the website, the Living Dead Weekend, is that I built that for the show, and obviously update it and maintain it year round for each new show. And then the graphics, all the guest announcements and the images and the like the promo images, like what you can see now behind this screen is like that's obviously you've added the clouds moving to that picture, but
had a little movement, but yeah.
I do all the guest images and the banners for the photo ops, and all the graphics, basically all the stuff that you see that gets posted on Facebook for each new guest that's coming for all the shows. I just make the backgrounds and add the guests to the images and do the social media. Well, the posts that go out on social media, Kevin and Larry are the ones that do the text, to announce the actual guest. But I do all the images and stuff that you see for going back to when we first started. They've all been done by me. So yeah, that's like.
So have you always been into like graphic design? Did you go to school for that, or is it just like a hobby that you just got really good at and we're just like, hey, I can do this, I can handle this, guys?
Well, yeah, kind of. That's kind of how it started. I mean, I did some graphic design when I did my degree. I did a computer degree, but that was more for like web design and stuff. But one of the modules in there were graphic design stuff. So it all sort of goes together. The web design, the graphics and stuff. So, but yeah, I've always been into Photoshop and photo editing. And again, I'm doing a little bit of that for Image 10 as well. I'm just in the process of like restoring some of their photos, their original photos that have, like removing dust and scratches and all that stuff for some upcoming stuff that Image 10 are doing. So
Yeah, I
But
was
yeah,
gonna ask you. I was gonna ask you about Image 10 too. I want to ask you about how'd you get involved with them? When did you just meet them through Jim Serenella, or how did that all come about?
yeah, that were obviously because I've been coming to the Living Dead Festival and the Living Dead weekend, and I got to know Gary back since 2012, Gary Striner,
Mm-hmm.
and so we'd always been pretty good friends. And Jim as well. We'd always been good friends when I'd seen him at the conventions, and so one of the reasons I got involved with Image 10 is because I when I did my degree, I one of the modules, the fine I think it was the final year project, where we had to just come up with something for ourselves, and I did 3D modeling as well,
Mm-hmm.
So for my final year project, I decided to build the Night of the Living Dead house in 3D and have it as a virtual tour, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you could actually, I mean, it's in VR, so you could actually go into the house in VR, and walk around the house, because obviously the house is gone, it's been demolished. So that I did a lot of research, which consisted mostly of watching Night of the Living Dead on repeat. So that,
Research. Yeah.
yeah. So and I ended up building the house in 3D. I've actually
Oh wow.
there's a video on YouTube. I'm not sure. I'll have to post a link on your channel, but of it were built in Unreal Engine, and it's a bit like a game, where you can actually run around with a controller.
Well,
And
that's it.
so
I remember, just real quick, like I remember a few years back. I guess it's more than a few years back, but I remember there was rumblings of like a 3D Night of the Living Dead game or something like that. Was it?
yeah.
Did you have anything to do with that, or was it?
No, we never actually said it were a game or all like that, and I'm not sure
Well,
if
I remember they mentioned something. I don't know if it was an actual game you could play, or it was something to do with VR. It was a Night of the Living Dead virtual reality thing, but I don't.
yeah, no, I think I know what you're talking about. That there is a different one. That's an unofficial thing, but it is out there. I
Okay.
think it's on Steam, or I think people can see it on Steam. But this was one of the reasons I did it, is because all of the previous versions or drawings or things of the Night of the Living Dead house that I'd ever seen. I'd seen floor plans that other people had done over years, posted in various different websites and in Facebook groups or whatever. They were all wrong, and I knew they were all wrong. The part of the building were missing, and it's the side house that you never the side part of the house that you never actually see in the film. There's actually an extension on that side that sticks out. So
Hmm.
if you're facing the house forward to the front door of the front porch, there's actually a part of the house on the left that you never see in the film, but it does stick out. And that
Better
side
notice
of
that.
the house, the left hand side of the house, is where the original front door used to be of the farmhouse. Yeah. So the front door now were the side door, and the back door is the side door. The original front door of the farmhouse were
Hmm.
on the side, and then it used to have a porch over, like just a roof and just covering the front door. But then
Mm-hmm.
over years, they must have built onto that. Anyway, that's going off track. But so basically, I built the farmhouse in 3D.
You can tell you're going back. You're having a flashback now. You're looking at the blueprint in your mind. You're like, oh yeah, then there was that.
Yeah. So like all these other floor plans and things that I'd seen, I always thought to myself, that's wrong. That I need to do it myself, because no one else
Right.
is going to do it. And so I built the 3D model, and obviously I showed Gary.
Mm-hmm.
That were one of the first people I showed. Hey, look what I've done. So, and Gary ended up basically, of course, he knew what I'd been doing for Kevin over years. He knew that I'd done the website, and they also needed like a website administrator to do the Image 10 website. And so combined with all the things that I were doing and could do, Gary basically offered me a job working for Image 10. So I also work for Image 10 as well as Kevin for the Living Dead Weekend. So doing various things for Gary, you know, that I do the Image 10 website stuff, put the graphics together for that as well. So yeah.
So you stay pretty busy.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Yeah. So a lot of just the website and were you I don't remember all the people that used to be on there, but the old forums back in the day, like on Homepage of the Dead and all that. Were you ever a part of those?
Yeah.
What was your screen name? I can't remember. Let's see if I remember you.
It would have either been Spooky Daz or
Spooky Daz. That's what it was.
I
remember that.
Maybe I can't remember. I think it was Spooky Daz or Dazimondo. I'm not sure, but probably Spooky Daz.
I'm pretty sure it was Spooky Day. That immediately rang a bell. I remember that.
Yeah. I didn't talk much on there either, but I think I posted the you know, the is it the Elite Laserdisc, Day of the Dead Laserdisc?
Mm-hmm.
I think that picture that's on Page of the Dead is one that I submitted.
Okay.
You know, when it first come out, but there's no names attached to them posts, so you don't know. You can't. I can't find my name from that. You know.
Yeah. No, I do remember that name, Spooky Daz. That's right. I was trying to go through my mind to remember. I was like, what was your name back in the day? Let me see here. So yeah, Thomas, this Kip Hennick. Is it Hennequan? How do you pronounce that last name?
10-year anniversary.
Yeah. Does work for Living Dead Weekend as well. Says it's Kip, by the way.
Yeah, Kip does a lot of stuff, man. Kip, yeah, he helps.
Yeah, I see. He's one of those I see running around like a chicken with his head cut off too all weekend, kind of like Kevin. He's always here and there. Let me see where let me go back here. Comments. Brandon's saying Wampum's closed to the public, but Brady's Bend is available as a filming location. It's not Wampum, but it looks exactly the same. Okay.
All right.
Wasn't too sure. Didn't know about that. Johnny, what's going on, man? Johnny Latham. Hi, Michael. How are you all doing? It says good to catch you live again. I've been really busy. Got left behind. No worries, man. Johnny said I saw Dave Prescott on eBay UK, but it had been cut up. That's unfortunate. Hey, Eerie Guts with a question. What's up, Eerie Guts? This question for Larry. First time tour goer. Do I take my ticket to the main ticket place or bring it to the biker entrance? There's a good question. Larry?
Sure. Of course, when you get to the mall, you have to go to the will call booth or whatnot, where you pick up your passes, you know, your wristbands, and you pick up any kind of tickets that you need for any kind of events. And they will give you a small ticket that'll, you know, be your tour ticket. And then you bring that over to the biker entrance, and then everybody would show that to me. And they would also have to show a weekend or a daily wristband, and they show the little ticket. And then I give you a sort of lanyard and the program. I give those out at the tour, at the biker entrance.
Yeah, and the tour, for everybody, the first time goers of the tour starts at the biker entrance. So that's where the tour begins, and that's kind of where it all ends as well.
That picture behind me is where it starts.
Right there, yep. That and the most iconic entrance at the mall still. It looks exactly the same as it did in 77 when they were shooting the film. It's it's a perfect place to start, perfect place to end. John says Daz is great because he puts up with my nonsense. Kirk, what's going on, man? Kirk Redgate. Had a change of heart last night. I bought the Survival of the Dead US Blu-ray for the Walking After Midnight doc. I haven't seen Survival in over 10 years. It's not great, but better than Diary. All right, yeah, I do love that documentary, and I've heard Felsher say, Larry disagrees with that, I think. I did hear Felsher say at one point that he kind of wants to do like a single release of that Walking After Midnight documentary, and I do think that there should be something specifically for that, just for the simple fact, yeah, it's the making of Survival of the Dead, but it's also George's last film. It's a documentary on George on the set of his final film. That to me is, far more interesting than the making of Survival of the Dead. So I think if you could sell like that, I think there's a lot there, and I'm sure Felcher has a lot of material that he didn't use for that as well. So. Um, Brandon with a question saying, "Hey Larry, I know Living Dead Weekend did the Crazies one year. Is there a possibility Kevin would do another Crazy show, or just planning to keep it dead centered?" That's a good question. That's something we kind of talked about, Larry, when we were in Pittsburgh, about the possibility of maybe a Crazies reunion or something like that. But it's kind of hard to do if you want to if you want to explain why a Crazies reunion is kind of hard to put together.
Sure. First, I'll speak about the film location tours. When I used to do tours up there, I would do a Crazies / Night of Living Dead tour. So it would be combined since we're in Evans City, and I would show locations from both of them. And I would do that every year. And then as far as the people from the Crazies and a reunion, it's kind of difficult these days because most of the people from the movie have passed away. There's still Lynn Lowry. There's still Richard France. And there's Bonnie Heinzman. She worked on it. She was the script girl. But there are really not many people from it, and there's not really any reason to do it if there aren't like a big draw or anything like that. I mean, we can have people at the show from the Crazies, various shows. If we have another Evans City show, or if we have another Monroeville show. We can once in a while fit somebody in like Lynn or Richard France. Of course, Richard's in other movies of George's, but there's nobody left from the Crazies, honestly. Most of the people have passed, to be quite frank.
Yeah, it's really. We just lost another one. John actually posted on Facebook a couple days ago. Walton Cook, who's the guy in the Crazies, says, you ain't taking me no place. And he also wrote The Amusement Park. Apparently he passed away just a couple of weeks ago. Talking about him last week on the channel. So yeah, it's there's not many left. I mean, you guys at Living Weekend, I forget what year it was, but almost had Lane Carroll was scheduled to be there one year, and then she ended up passing away like a week before the show or something like that.
Yeah.
Lane is an interesting case because since we were doing shows up there in Evans City, the Crazies, guests would be a natural fit because I also do Crazies tours. So we wanted to get her to a show for a long time. And as I said earlier, we started the Living Dead Week in Evans City in 2015. And I know I had contacted her a few times over Facebook. I know Jim Cirinella had contacted her a few times over Facebook, and she would never agree to it. And then finally in 2019, we got through to her. I don't remember if it was me or Kevin or if she contacted us, but we got her to agree to it. And me and Kevin were talking to her, and she seemed to be all excited. She had written some books, and they are still on, Kindle editions on Amazon and such. And she wanted to do it finally. And then she passed away, I think maybe a month before, which was so sad. She had an interesting life. She started telling us all kinds of things, like she was in this Russ Meyer film, one of his early ones. I can't recall the name at the second, but
we're hearing about that.
Really super interesting life, and she would have been great to talk to and great to have there. And she passed away before she could do her first show, and see the Romero fans out there. So that was really terrible, and that was 2019. Like I said, she would have been there, but she passed away.
Yeah, that's super unfortunate. What about it's just going through a list of guests. Have you guys ever tried reaching out? Because I know I mentioned it. I think I mentioned it on last week's stream that Cinema Wasteland one year had Donald Rubenstein and Sarah Venable at a show from Martin. Right. Have you guys ever tried reaching out to either one of them to possibly attend a show, or have they just not been responsive, or?
As far as Sarah, well, that show you referenced is Cinema Wasteland in 2019, and it was their fall show. I ended up being a vendor at another show, so I couldn't go to it. So I wished I could have, because Donald and Sarah were there, but they don't do appearances regularly. I know we've talked to Donald before, but it's never worked out for one reason or another. I don't know if we've ever talked to Sarah. Jim would probably have, because he's the one that arranged for both of them to appear at Cinema Wasteland. So I'm sure they've been contacted and just couldn't for whatever reason, because I know Donald, pretty decently. I arranged for him to be on the first WGON podcast with Eric and Matt back when they. And so I've got a little bit of a rapport with him, and I can ask him. But I think what happened is just a scheduling conflict kind of thing when we've asked him in the past. And then we do certain shows, and then we only have a budget for a certain amount of people to fly in and put them up in hotels and such. So then it becomes, how important is he? Does he fit in? What can we do with him? And there's a lot of different things that go into having somebody at a convention. And it's just never worked out for either of them in any case.
Well, they can take my money if you you make it work. I'll spend quite a bit at both of their tables. Don't worry about that. John saying Daz was the one who figured out about some weird part of the night farmhouse. We debated about it, but he was correct, and some of the photos I made confirmed what he already knew. Does it have to do with the mysterious staircase that you can see in the film?
No, there's two staircases inside the house. One leading up from the front room, but the kind of meet like that, the staircases. But in the movie, it only looks like there's one that goes. Yeah. You don't really see the other. But no, there's at the end of the hallway upstairs. When Ben drags the corpse along the hallway, you can see there's a door behind him where he's dragging. So that had to lead to a room, but without realizing there's actually a room there, it would look like, because downstairs there's no door, but that's where the original front door would have been, where the mirror's on the wall. Yeah, but so there is a room on that side because there's a doorway to it. So if you notice that in the film, then there has to be something there on the other side of that door, else it had just opened into nothing. So,
into the great abyss.
So we ended up, I ended up telling John back in 2023 at the Living Dead weekend, and I said, there's a room, there's another room on side of the house, and he went, no, there ain't, no. And we had we got into a civil argument.
A civil argument. That's a good
civil argument. Yeah, where he was saying no, and I was saying yeah. I said, I'm not going to fall out with you, but there is, and he says, I'm not going to fall out with you, but there ain't. So anyway,
well, he conceded. He finally conceded. He said that extension was what I was talking about. That was actually the original entrance to the house. I think it just became 2 extra rooms. Have a deed/ad that mentions it being a 10-room house. Wow, I didn't know that, a 10-room house. Yeah, it's crazy. Johnny wants to know, says, "Wow, is that 3D house in VR available ever online?" Nice one, Dax. So you said did you say that you did have a link for it or something?
Yeah, it's just a video. You can't actually. Well, I mean, there's a video on YouTube that I think I made. So I made a tour of the house with just me running through it. Yeah, that's a video. But then I think I made a short 360 video in VR and put that on YouTube, where if you view it, I'm not 100% sure, I might be wrong, but I think if you view that with a 3D headset, you might be able to sort of look around the room. I'm not sure if it's actually in 3D, that one though, but there is a 360 view of the. Let me see if I can find the link, and I'll share it here, and then you can.
Man, send to me. I'll definitely post it up because I like to check that out. I've never really messed with VR before. I'm always a little skeptical on the VR. I'm just like, because some of that stuff will make me ill.
Dizzy.
Like 3D. I don't like 3D. Like if I go to a movie and it's 3D, it's like, outside of Dawn, like that's Dawn of the Dead and Avatar. I think the first time we went to see Avatar when that came out. But other than that, like if it's 3D, I'm just like, I can't, because I always come out with like a bad headache, and so I'm just like, I don't know what it's doing to my brain. But
all right, so let's have a look.
Brand's saying, I always feel like Kip never gets enough thanks for all the behind the scenes
Yeah,
work that he does before, during, and after the convention. Absolutely.
yeah,
So it's all
absolutely. Kip does tons of stuff. Tons of stuff.
Well, as far as Kip goes, he
it's a fun
builds,
fact.
everything. One hauling tables. He's helping Kevin put together everything. He's cleaning out stores with Kevin. He's sweeping. He's mopping. He's doing all this stuff with Kevin and for. He works there daily. Almost, especially leading up to shows.
Yeah, like I said,
Yeah,
he's just like Kevin. It's like anytime I've ever seen him, he's just kind of always everywhere, doing everything, just kind of chicken with your head cut off type of thing. Um,
yeah. It stops the show from falling apart.
yeah,
Does Kip? It keeps the shit
well,
together. And
yeah,
Missy looks after things too.
you got to think
So
like it's so. I don't think I could do it. Like I've run like little like shows like concerts before. Like I've promoted little shows and stuff like that. And I was just not cut out for that. So all the work and time and effort that goes into this event every year from from so many people. I mean, it's pretty incredible that it's continued to grow to this point, and it's just it's a real team effort as you guys can see that are watching.
definitely.
Um, all right, your gut saying awesome. Thanks, Larry. See you guys Sunday. Very cool. I'll see you then, man. Let's see, Johnny asking about the Night 90 release upgrade. Yeah, I asked about that earlier. I haven't heard any new news, and they haven't either. So, um, see, Brandon saying my thoughts have always been that fans need to find something to love about his later films. The other actors aren't getting any younger, and unfortunately, there will be a day when it's Diary and Survival. Yeah. Those are going to be the classics sooner than later. We mentioned earlier, but this year, I mean, Living Land of the Dead's 20th anniversary reunion did get. Of course, Eugene Clark's going to be there, but Sean Roberts, who is also in Diary of the Dead, is going to be there as well. Did you guys reach out to Sean? Did Sean reach out to you guys? How did Sean and Gino? I know if you want to talk about Gino and how he
I talk about
came up
them
and be
both.
about.
Well, I can talk about both of them.
Sure.
Sean Roberts' agent actually reached out to us, so that's how we got him, because they must have heard, that there was a Land of the Dead reunion. And then as far as Gino, well, Greg Nicotero talked to me about that. He said, "Hey, my buddy Gino, can you get him into the show? He's in Land of the Dead. He's done all this work." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, of course. I know his name. He worked on TCM2 and a million things like Frankenhooker. Of course, he worked on so many things like The Walking Dead. He's won awards. I know the guy, and I've always wanted to meet him. So I'm like, of course, Greg, we'll get him in." I went and talked to Kevin. Kevin's like, yeah. He's going to be a good guest. I'm like, okay, yeah, of course. Let's get him. So he came through Greg, and now he's living in Pittsburgh. So it just worked out perfectly that, yeah, let's get Gino in. He's a great guest.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, there you sent me like a little collection of all the different stuff that he's worked on and done over the years. A little music video to "I Was Made for Love." I love that song. But yeah, it's pretty incredible. Like you said, all the way from Frankenhooker, Texas Chainsaw 2, The Walking Dead, Creepshow series. Dude's been in a lot. Has done a lot of stunt work. So is this his first show, or has he done one or two before this? I think maybe.
He has done other conventions, but I don't think very many. Just recently I saw him appearing maybe somewhere in Atlanta at some kind of little thing, and maybe he was at Spookala recently in Florida and Ocala, but he has not at all.
Yeah, I couldn't recall ever, seeing his name pop up too often for anything, but so yeah, pretty cool to get him. And it's interesting, like, so I've had people ask, like, oh, what about Boyd Banks? What about some of the other guys, some of the other guests, people from Land of the Dead who would, have done conventions and do shows? Did you try to reach out to those guys, or was there?
Evan had tried to, I think, get Jennifer Baxter and maybe Boyd Banks. And, he didn't hear back from them or anything, so it was never able to be arranged. But he did reach out to them.
Interesting. Okay. But yeah, pretty crazy. 20 anniversary of Land of the Dead. Like, that's doesn't seem real. It still feels
Yeah.
like a new movie to me. Like it's still like when I think of Land of the Dead, I'm like, oh, that's current. You know, that's a modern horror film. And I'm like, oh, I'm not very current. I'm not very modern. So, um, but yeah, what do you think about Brandon's point there that like George's later films are should be celebrated as like as much as possible because they're eventually going to be the classics. Because I mean, like I said, I hear people now, like younger people, always talk about like a lot of these newer movies as if they are classics, and you think like, oh yeah, these are the movies they grew up on, like the Texas Chainsaw remake or you know those type of movies. Do you think there's a future for Diary and Survival in the convention world?
Personally, I would say no. But listen, I'm not being mean. I just don't think they're great movies. And the thing is, great movies go on and have big followings. Yeah, I know, I hear what you're saying, where eventually there's not going to be anybody left from the older films, and there's only going to be people from these newer films, and there's fans of these newer films, and I get that, but they're still not classics, no matter what. And the classics are the ones that move on and gain steam for real, like John Carpenter's Halloween, and certain things gain steam and they never go away. And I don't think these movies are going to gain that kind of steam and momentum because they're not that great. And I'm just being honest. I love George to death in his films, but I don't see that happening. I mean, a movie is really great or it's not. I mean, Hell of Living Dead is not a great movie, and it's never gonna
Come on. Come on. You start getting some people from Hell of the Living Dead and you forget about it like
Yeah,
that.
please.
Are you a fan of those films, Daz? Are you a fan of Diary and Survival? Or what are your thoughts on those? Or even Land, for that matter?
Hmm. Hmm.
Say something.
Kind of Night, Dawn, Day. Tom Savini's 1990 I love. Some people don't even like that, but I can't understand why, because I love 1990. But Land, I mean, you know what? For me, it was the zombies learnt too much.
Got too smart.
That
Got
yeah,
too big for the britches.
that's yeah. I wasn't keen on that aspect of zombies learning how to do things. I don't know. I can watch them. I can watch them, but
you don't enjoy it while you're watching them. Yeah.
You know, the thing for me is, and is probably, hopefully, it's the same with you guys, right? I think I enjoy Night, Dawn, Day, and Savini's remake because, as crazy as it sounds, if there were a zombie apocalypse, that's kind of how shit would be, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I don't know. I don't think maybe we would have zombies that eventually learn if zombies were a real thing. But I think that's a bit of a stretch because they're fucking dead. They're dead. They're just fucking.
The dead are not the brightest bulbs in the world.
So I don't know. I mean, I can watch the movies, but I ain't. It's not something I'd go and put on and think, all right, I've got some free time. Let's put one of them on. I'd put Dawn of the Dead on or Night of the Living Dead. I can watch them on loop. Day of the Dead. I can watch them on loop and leave them on, and even my wife can watch them on loop. But I think if I put Land of the Dead on, I'd go find something else to do after it.
I would take it in and then move on to something else. I mean,
yeah, I don't know. I like them. I like the people. I love the people involved, and the movies are good, well-made movies. They're well-made, but just some things. It's like for me, I get myself into trouble talking too much now. Look, I need to keep my mouth shut because I think like The Walking Dead, right? I find myself saying, "Oh, fuck off! That won't happen." Some of the things, not all of the things, but some of the things.
I had the same reaction to a lot of that stuff too.
And like in reality, let's face it, if if we were a group like Rick was with his group in The Walking Dead, yeah, as soon as someone like Negan turned up, he'd be killed straight away. There'd be no discussions. There'd be nothing in between us meeting him and him just being dead. That's it's like Joe Pilato in Day of the Dead as Captain Rhodes. He were ready to kill anybody, right?
Mhm.
And I think that is one of the ways you would have to live in a zombie
Yeah.
apocalypse. You couldn't be trading with people and making friends with people and trusting people and not trusting people and then getting stabbed in back and discovering some bullshit. Like none of that. It's like we're going to kill everybody.
And
That'd be it.
I think that was like George's point to the whole thing, and that's kind of our, the whole like, we must stop the killing or lose the war type of thing. It's like, yeah, you have to kind of be a savage to survive a situation like that, but that was going to lead to our own downfall, in the end anyway. It's like I was watching Land of the Dead the other night on the channel doing like a live watch along. And you kind of see like a lot of these characters to survive, as long as they have survived, they do have to kind of be cold-hearted. Like you can't trust because you can't really trust anybody in that fucking movie. I mean, the scene where Dennis Hopper, the guy gets off the elevator, Dennis Hopper just turns around, oh, watch out, and just guns him in the back of the head, just cold-blooded, didn't even blink while he was doing it. I'm like, yeah, that's the kind of guy that would survive this long in a situation like that. As a guy with no conscience and no,
That's
no
how
remorse.
that's how it would have to be. Else someone would get you.
Yeah.
That'd be it. It'd be everyone for themselves. Obviously, if you had some close friends, then you've got your close team. But I won't be meeting and having discussions with risky outsiders like Negan. I'd be like, no, let's kill him straight away. Let's decapitate him straight away, so he ain't coming back. That's it.
No trust for anybody. Don't trust. What's the old Stone Cold DTA? Don't trust anybody. There you
go. Yeah.
Jeff had a question. It's kind of an interesting question. It's kind of cool. Jeff said, "Are there any plans of selling back programs / lanyards from the past Living Dead conventions for fans? Any possibility of that?
Left, have you?
Oh well, nobody would have them really except for me, and I have a lot of them, but I'm just not willing to sell them. I don't mean, what would I even sell it for? Oh, I don't know. I just never even thought of it. I have a bunch of them from previous events. I just don't even know what it would be worth, and I don't even think it's worth anything. I don't know. It seems weird to me.
Well, it just depends on who's buying it and how bad they want it, and everything has a price for the right customer.
I guess so.
Civic says, I always feel there's not enough love for the humble Scirocco. I had the model, never got to drive it around a shopping center though. I know that's Paul's dream car. If he can ever find one of the Sciroccos, that's his dream car. Jeff said this question is for anybody that can answer it. Do you guys know where they filmed the opening segment for Dawn of the Dead in the newsroom?
Larry can answer that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, of course. I've actually been there the past 2 years in a row. The past 2 Living Dead weekends, 2023 and 24, I got to visit it twice. The newsroom station, at the beginning of Dawn of the Dead was filmed at Fox 53 in the North Hills of Pittsburgh. It's WPGH, Fox 53. But the thing is, okay, I went there and filmed twice, and there's a reason why I don't know if I'll go again. Last year, they were deciding to remove that big space, that big space that, they're having the argument, Dr. Foster and Mr. Berman, they're having their argument in that big space where they're filming. That was being turned into offices last late summer and early fall. So that big space had been there all these years, and it should be now totally removed and turned to offices. But I was able to document it a lot and extensively, and I even recreated some of the scenes there with my buddy Garrett, who works there. And but I haven't gotten a chance to put these videos together and put them out there. I'm super busy all the time, but I have footage. And guess what? Okay, this is the greatest part. When I was there at the station, he took me around to all these back hallways, and we were trying to figure out exactly where all the little offices were, where, like, say, where Fran woke up, from her dream at the very beginning of Dawn. And nothing really matched up properly looking at the areas. And then we knew there had been some renovations over the years. And we talked to one guy who worked there a long time, and he confirmed about, a lot of renovations. But then Garrett showed me this sort of set of drawers in one level of the building. And I'm looking through it, and there are plans for the building. And we discovered, looking at different pictures that we found and through the plans, that they had put on a whole front of the building sometime in the 80s. So that changed things a lot. And then I was able to finally look at the original plans from around that time of the movie's filming. And I figured out exactly where that office space was, where Fran woke up and everything, because I looked at certain things that had not changed. Like, I found a set of stairs in the middle of the building. It's still there, so then you can match up where that set of stairs was, and then you match up and walk a certain amount of feet, go around a corner, and it should be right over here, and it's all been done over. But the exact space where Fran would have woken up was in the manager's office. And then on that trip where I discovered that, was my first trip there, it was locked. I couldn't get in there, so I'm like, oh, I got to come back. So then that was 2023, 2024. I came back a second time, and I went down there and filmed a whole bunch of stuff and did my recreation of the scene of Mr. Berman and Dr. Foster. I have a video of it. Me and Garrett were doing the parts. I have to just edit that all together, and I got more footage. And I just have to show all this and get some time to put together a really comprehensive video where I show exactly what I'm talking about right now in the past 3 or 4 minutes. I can show it with video. And I even took a picture of the plans that show exactly where she was. So it's pretty interesting stuff that I've discovered and I have filmed, and I have this information, but I haven't gotten a chance to put it out there for anybody. I mean, eventually it'll be on my YouTube channel, WGON TV, but I don't have the time. I'm always involved in all kinds of projects.
You're just slacking, Larry. Don't lie. You're just procrastinating.
I'm really busy.
Is the red shag carpet still on the wall there?
No. I mean, the whole place had been renovated, but exactly where she would have been was currently an office for the manager of the station. So when I was in, and then I don't know what has happened since last summer when I last went in there. It was supposed to be all renovated, but the top part where I discovered where it should still be the same as like 2 years ago, but the big giant open space that was the studio where everything was being filmed and all the crews in there, that should be all different now. It should be changed as far as I know. I haven't talked to my buddy in a while. He was telling me they were moving everything, but there was some interesting stuff there. I know people want to hear this, I hope, but I was looking on the ground because they had moved a lot of stuff out even when I got there last June. And I saw where you could see where there's a curved desk that was there at one time, and that's exactly where Mr. Berman and Dr. Foster were doing their scene. You could see it was probably there for many years, and you could see a line of like dirt. Like when you leave like a table in a certain area for a long time, there's going to be an indentation in the rug, or it's going to be dirty on the floor. You could see exactly where the table was where they filmed their scene. And I could not believe that. And I documented it. And we also did the scene recreation with a little table in the same spot. So I show you guys whenever I get a chance to do it and put it together.
Yeah, let's see it. That's pretty cool that you think that exact desk had been there for all those years.
Well, crazy. I'm sure for a certain amount of time, and then it might have gotten covered up, but then they started moving everything out, and you could see the line, the dirty line on the ground where there was a curved desk there.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, I've never been myself. I've never been. I know Paul has been. I've thought about it. He said you can kind of just reach out and let him know when you want to come, and he said it's that's what he did. He just kind of reached out and said, "Hey, is it cool if I come this period?" I don't know is it still a TV station? I guess.
Oh, It's still a TV station. It's still Fox 53 WPGH. And the way I got in was this is an interesting story too. My buddy Garrett, like I just mentioned in the story earlier, years ago, I think it was 2018, he came on one of my mall tours, okay? Because he was a man, he lives in the area, and he was going to college and such. So he graduated college since then, and he got his job at that TV station because, you know, he knows it was featured in Dawn of the Dead. So then years later, like he did my tour 2018, he contacts me in 2023 and says, "Hey, Larry, I know you from years ago. I went on one of your tours. Do you have any interest on coming to see the TV station?" And I said, "Yeah, of course. I've been wanting to get in there for years." So he brought me in, and he brought me 2 years in a row. But now I don't know if there's that much to necessarily see or document. But I got a lot of video and photos and talking there and everything. I just need
I'm
a
glad
chance.
you did. I'm glad you did. I don't know if I'll get a chance to. I mean, like you said, everything's pretty much probably changed at this point now anyway. But that's the story with a lot of these locations, guys. That's another thing I want to bring up to anybody coming to the event for the first time, going to Pittsburgh for the first time, is try to see as many of these locations as you can, because as we've seen with the airport, it's like 1 year it'll be there, the next year it'll be gone, you know, and you never know. You know, it's not just the mall, but you know, I guess Seven City Cemetery will pretty much always be there and be pretty unchanged, but you just never know with a lot of these locations.
Right.
Brian had a question. Image 10's website had an online schematic you can check out. Is that Daz's? Was that yours, Daz?
A schematic. What was that?
I'm not
sure.
Not sure either.
Margaret, Wi-Fi.
So what I posted is, I'll give you the link here. Let's have a look. So I'll share that. Can you see that link? Yeah. In the private chat, yeah.
Okay. Let me see here. Let me see if I can do a screen share, and I'll post this link in the chat here in just a second too.
Yeah. I'm not sure if that's what I meant with the schematic, but so that's what I made. That's a video, obviously. If you scroll down a little bit, keep going.
Okay. I think I have seen this before.
So
below,
if you keep going a bit further, there's the video.
Yeah.
So that's the model that I made. Which obviously, if you're running it in Unreal Engine, you can actually walk around it. This was just a little intro I did.
And what year did you say you did this?
I did this in 2021, maybe.
2021?
I'm not sure.
That's pretty awesome.
So yeah, my idea for my project, my final year project, was to build the house as a virtual tour. And then obviously to upload it to work online to be able to run it as a tour, it was just too much. I don't even know of a way I could do it. So I just recorded myself running around the building, you know.
And this is through VR, right?
Well, it did work. There's various ways of doing it. So this one in particular wasn't VR, but this was just me recording it from, you know, through Unreal Engine. But then it's because it's so processor intensive, you see, you know, if you were going to do the whole thing in VR, it'd need its own, you know, it'd need like a games console to run, or a computer gaming,
yeah,
like graphics card to run. So but obviously I could run it myself and record myself walking around it. But what I did is I dropped a VR camera in the front room, which records a 360 view of just one of the rooms without. I don't think I moved then. There were no walking around. It was just a 360 view, which then I think that were in VR. So if you put a VR headset on then and watch the other clip, and then you turned your head to the left, it would be like you were stood in the room looking to the left. Do you know what I mean? Which
Yeah.
I'm just trying to find the link I posted. I think it was private on YouTube, but I was looking for that one too. But this is what I posted on the Image 10 website. It was just a quick run round the house.
It's a quick little run through. That's pretty awesome, man.
And
how
so
long does something like that take to put together?
it took
work
quite
on
a long time.
I
Yeah, so you
imagine.
see that little bit there, that bit there to the left of the house that sticks out.
Yeah.
I didn't really. In the movie, you don't actually see that bit. So that is where when John Vollo said we were having a discussion. That part there were where the actual front door of the farmhouse used to be. So, and then it got covered up. So that's just what we're
That's
talking
really
about.
cool, man. That's pretty damn cool.
So
like,
yeah,
I feel like I've seen that before. I don't know, maybe
it's been online for a while.
Yeah, maybe a couple of years back or something like that. But yeah, that's pretty damn cool. Fix my layout here. There we go. Gotta have the logos there. But yeah, put the link if anybody wants to check it out. Put the link down here in the chat as well. So if you guys want to check that out. But yeah, you're a talented guy, Daz. You're a talented fellow.
Cheers, man.
Kudos on that. Johnny was saying I played a bit of Resident Evil 7 on VR. It was crazy and good, but yeah, it scrambled my brain after a few minutes. Yeah, I feel like that would be me. I'd just be kind of out of it after a while on that. Civic says, turns out there was plenty of room in hell until smartphones turned the population into zombies. That's a good point. Stuka says, how much was the VIP ticket? I think they were like 150, I think, 150 ticket.
But they've sold out a long time ago.
Yeah, those are those are pretty hard to find. Those are like Taylor Swift tickets at this point, I think. Nobody's coming up off of them. Let's see. Civic saying Diary and Survival are not the best, but still better than Resident Evil. Old films age like wine. Newer films just get more rotten. It's interesting, yeah, because sometimes the CGI, even some of the CGI in like the early 2000s, it's just like, that's almost unwatchable at this point. Jeff wants Daz on his team. There's Synth. What's up, man? Synthetics in the house. Hey, all. Daz is cracking me up. Not afraid to go against the grain. Absolutely. Daz gives no shits, as we see.
Yeah.
It says my brother's girlfriend had a Scirocco in high school. It was very zippy. That's a good word for those, I think. Zippy. It's a very zippy vehicle. Let's see. Jeff saying upload that to YouTube, Larry. We all appreciate it. Yeah. I want to see that video of the fucking the news station for sure. We need to get that up there. You got a lot. I hear you say that all the time. It's like, oh yeah, I got all this footage, but I just haven't uploaded it yet. And you got it like years ago. I'm just like, well, dude, come on. What are you waiting for?
We've got tons of stuff from 2012 that's still never been uploaded from Larry's original tour, where we've got tons of stuff. And the mall, actually, I think it's still pennies in it. The mall has still got pennies on it in the video.
Wow.
We haven't got around to sorting it and editing it and uploading it, and just getting permission to do it, like because it's a combination of various different people's footage, and it's like, well, Kevin shot some of it, I shot some of it, Larry's shot some of it. We should get it all together. I mean, we need to get it all together and edit it and upload it, because that's got, like I say, the original pennies is still on there, and it's good quality stuff.
Hey, what's up, Guy? Guy Evans, DJ Guy, amazing. So this is a guy we met last year at Living Dead Weekend who flew in from, I believe it was Wales is where he was from, I believe. And we bumped into him. We were just out in the parking lot, just talking me, Synth, Will, and he just walks up, and it's just like, oh man, he's just kind of looking at the mall, just kind of taking it in. So good to see you, man. I hope you. I don't know if you're making it again this year or not, but if you do, definitely come say hey. But it's funny, he got DJ guy in parentheses because I couldn't remember what his name was for a while. Then on the stream, I was like, oh, he's the DJ guy. What was his name? What was his name? And it's like, Guy, that's his name. But yeah, a lot of praise for that. Daz, a little 3D walkthrough there. Since it's Nice Night of Living Dead interactive tool, I wish they'd finished that Dawn Mall hack of the Fiddler's Green game. It was perfect. Yeah, I've always wanted a Dawn video game, something like that for the just not even a video game, just an interactive kind of like that was with the mall, where you just go and visit the mall and just walk around, which I'm sure one day with technology being the way that it is, I'm sure we'll get something like that eventually. But
I built the image that we can see on this, like what you've got there. I built that in 3D. I printed a 3D model of it from the 3D that I built, but I never textured it to run like the Night of the Living Dead house. I could do, it'd take me a little bit of time, and you could run around that on a computer, but just that part. I never built the entire mall, but
I'm sure that would take quite a bit of time to do something like that. That'd be a lifelong project, probably.
Yeah, so the entire mall, yeah. But I did print that bit out when I'd finished that part of the model, and I've got it on my shelf upstairs.
Oh wow!
Just the biker entrance in 3D. So
that's fucking awesome, man. Guy saying great to join live stream from here in Cardiff, UK. All right, made it to the Living Dead weekend last year. Such an incredible trip. Met you, Will, and Synthetic. That's right, man. And I remember you had the Dawn soundtrack on vinyl with the red lettering on the back, and I was like, "Oh man, you got one of the and you're just like, "Oh, I don't know, my brother gave me this years ago, and I just brought it here to get it signed." And I was just like, "No, man, that's that's a rarity right there. That's awesome." But cool, man. Glad you're able to stop by. But yeah, so before we hop out here, I guess we can kind of go through the guest list and the events and what's planned and everything that's coming up. And so, of course, we got the big Day of the Dead reunion. It's the 40th anniversary of Day of the Dead. I got a whole list of names here for everybody. Jarlath Conroy, Laurie Cardill, Terry Alexander, Mark Tierno, Howard Sherman. I'm glad you guys got Howard Sherman this year because I've met Howard once in 2008. And I haven't ran into him since, so I have quite a bit of things for him to sign, so I'm looking forward to that. John Amplis, Everett Burrell, you guys just announced Everett Burrell's going to be there this year. Was that kind of a last minute thing, or was that something you guys were holding off on, or how did Everett come about?
We were just waiting. It was mainly confirmation and making sure that we'd planned on him coming for a while, but we just wanted confirmation 100% before announcing him. So,
okay.
But yeah, it's confirmed.
Very cool.
Yeah,
a lot of the team here.
Tried to get him, months ago. It's been trying to be arranged, to have him. We wanted him to be there, and it was just waiting a confirmation that he could come.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Yeah, I was glad to see him added to it. Because we got Tom Savini, Greg Nicotero, Mike Gornick. Tasso will be there Friday and Saturday only. So if you want to meet Tasso, don't wait. Get him early. Jeff Monahan, that's an interesting name. I was glad to see that got added to this year's event. Has he done a Living Dead weekend before?
Yes, he was at the show where we had a Day of the Dead reunion in 2017. Gary Carr was there also. I mean, of course, we wish we could now and that he was still here, but he's gone, of course.
Yeah, I'd like to talk to him about Bruiser. I'm the one guy, maybe me and Blasey or somebody would be like, hey, let's talk about Bruiser. Of course, Deborah Gordon, which I kind of want to talk to her about effects. So I'm looking forward to seeing her. Bill Lasco, Ralph Langer, Hermie Granati. That was a cool one. That was an interesting one that when you guys announced that. How did that come about? Who reached out to who? And will we see a G-Force reunion at this year's VIP party?
I think Mike Ankas is a friend of his, and is that right, Larry? Yeah.
Yeah, I heard we got him through Mike. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's, of course, the Granati brothers. Are they still playing these to this day? They're still playing around the Pittsburgh area?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. I feel like I remember reading that
Hermie
somewhere.
is. Maybe Hermie is. I don't know about his other brothers.
Let's see. Dave Fagor, George Demick, Mike Tommaso, Mike Ankus, and then Ned Johnstone. Is this his first convention?
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
so. Cool. And of course, the Night of the Living Dead reunion, which again, I've said this before, guys. Like, this may be one of the last. This is the most complete reunion for Night of the Living Dead. Maybe one of the last opportunities you may get a chance to do that. And there's going to be, I think, a full cast photo op for these guys as well.
Yep.
Judith Ridley, Kyra Schoen, Judith O'Day, Gary Striner, Russ Striner, John Russo, Sharon Carroll, Paula Richards, Ken Peters. I'm looking forward to finally meeting Ken Peters just because I'm a huge fan of his stuff from Season of the Witch. Rick Catazone and Dick Heckert. So, I mean, that's about as complete of a reunion as you can get for Night of the Living Dead at this point. So we mentioned the Land of the Dead reunion. Dawn of the Dead, of course, going to have Bob Michelucci. Paul Musser's returning this year. Sharon Hill, Gary Marlatt, Lenny Lees, Joe Shelby, Marty Schiff, Michael Savini. Has he done one before?
Yeah, just one. That was 2017, I think.
2017, okay.
Oh, no. No,
I think it was 2018.
2018, yeah.
Okay, so that would have been like, what, the 40th? Was it the 40th anniversary of Dawn?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So him and Melissa Dunlap will be there, the two kids from the airport. So that'd be a perfect opportunity to get both of their signatures on a photo or something, 8x10. Then Christian Dryden and Jerry. How do you pronounce his last name? Is it Gergely? Or Gergely?
I think it's Gurgler.
Gergely. Okay.
I think.
So yeah, I mean, it's a hell of a list. You're not plenty of autographs to get on there. I'll say that.
Just to mention as well, you said Tasso's there Friday and Saturday, but so is Greg. Greg's Friday and Saturday only.
Oh,
Right.
okay. Okay. So Greg and Tasso Friday, Saturday only.
Yeah.
So don't hesitate and don't wait to get those guys. So out of all those names, were there any guests that you reached out to that you couldn't get, or they declined, or just couldn't get a hold of, just couldn't get it worked out? Specifically, a name I've heard brought up a couple of times is John Harrison. Was John Harrison approached about attending this event this year, or?
I personally don't have any. A lot of shows I arranged to have a bunch of people appear. I talked to a lot of our guests over the years, and I've even arranged things with John Harrison in the past. But this year, I really didn't do much arranging at all. It was all Kevin pretty much this year, and he would only know that answer. I didn't even ask him. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of surprised because I know Paul was really excited to possibly get a chance to meet John Harrison finally, which he was at the one in 21. So I did get a chance to get him to sign my day soundtrack vinyl back there. So and then the Friday night movie screening, Night of the Living Dead with cast intro at 9 p.m. And then there's the after party bonus screening. Anybody know what the after party bonus screening is going to be?
No idea.
Don't bullshit me. Don't bullshit me. What are they playing?
It's a surprise. Go on, Larry. What were you saying?
Maybe Daz knows, but I don't know. I wasn't told.
I can't spill the beans, of course. I do know what it is, but I'm not telling you.
Come on, Daz. Come on. Give us a hint.
No, I'm not saying a word.
All right.
You'll have to wait and see.
Flesh
I don't
eater.
want to spoil the surprise. Go on, Larry,
You know,
what?
that would actually be fun. Because, I mean, by that point, it's going to be about, 11 o'clock midnight, and we're going to be drinking. That'd be the perfect something to watch while everybody's fucking drinking and having partying afterwards or whatever. Something like Flesh Eater or the Majorettes. We just watched the Majorettes being sent a couple weeks back. Something like that I think would be kind of fun. And there's the Jerry Gurgley connection to both of those. Anyway, so after we get off here, you can tell me, Daz. Then we got the Sunday brunch, the Day of the Dead screening Sunday morning. So Day of the Dead with the cast and crew. Get breakfast. Unfortunately, they scheduled it right. I don't know who scheduled this, but they scheduled it at the exact same time as Larry's tour on Sunday. So a lot of us are going to be on Larry's tour that Sunday, and we won't be at the Day of the Dead screening. But that's pretty cool. That like, you know, can't beat that. Can't beat a Sunday brunch with Day of the Dead. What was that, Larry?
Brunch.
Yeah, are you providing breakfast or anything on these tours for us on Sunday?
No, I wanted to go to the brunch. I wish I was going to that. I'm doing a tour for you guys though, so I'm okay.
Yeah, we'll still have fun.
Of course.
And of course, the location tour, which is all sold out now. So I did see somebody was selling a ticket or something. I think it sold pretty fast on the Facebook page. Then the VIP party Saturday night, which those tickets have long been sold out. So, and a cool list of photo ops. I was saying, we were talking about this last night. Some of the photo ops and the background, the backgrounds and stuff that they got this year. My favorite is probably the Ritz. The Ritz, and they've released some images of that on the Facebook page, and it looks pretty damn cool. Yeah. So they got a photo op for the Ritz with Terry Alexander and Jarlath Conroy. They got the backdrop and everything there. That's going to be really freaking cool. The full Day of the Dead cast photo op, the Night of Living Dead cast photo op. This is another one that's really cool that I'm actually really considering. It is the main zombie, the four main zombies, the cover zombies of each film. You got Kyra Schoen, Paul Musser, Howard Sherman, Eugene Clark from all four of those Dead films in one photo together. I don't think that will ever happen again. I could be wrong, but I don't think we'll ever see those four together again at the same time like that.
Yeah.
Get the land.
There's a Greg Nicotero photo op as well.
Yeah.
So
there's quite a few. There's lots going on all throughout, pretty much every day. And the Land of the Dead cast photo. There's a Bub photo op with Howard Sherman. Of course, the Flyboy elevator photo op with Scott Kellaway, who's like the ultimate Flyboy cosplay. Like it's insane. It's incredible.
But did you ever see Larry's Flyboy cosplay?
I did.
That's actually where we first met. We just didn't realize it back in 2008 at the Horror Find. Is it Horror Find?
Yeah.
Horror Find in Maryland. When Larry did that Flyboy.
That Horror Find show is like legend. It's the thing of legend because that's what I think it was. Was it? Or no, I think maybe it was a 2005 show or something for Dead Pit. But it was a Horror Find in Maryland that I went to.
There.
Yeah, you were there as well.
They used their episode.
Yeah, I realized that when I was watching it. I was like, this looks familiar. I could recognize your voice. I could see you in it a lot, and I was like, Larry's in this a whole hell of a lot. Is this? And then I realized they probably used your footage. And then the Savini motorcycle photo op, which is pretty cool. And then, of course, I'll bring this up. Of course, this is on the website. This year's event, of course, in memory of Anthony DeLeo, who we just lost a few months back. Any stories or memories of Anthony? Or I know Larry mentioned something last night about the necklaces, Miguel's necklaces, or something like that. Daz, that you wanna?
No. Maybe I'll talk to you about that when I see you.
Oh my God.
Larry teased it. I don't know. He asked me to bring it up. He asked me to ask about it. So now I'm curious. What the hell? Okay. But yeah, any stories of Anthony in terms of meeting him or being at any of the shows? I know he's been at a couple of the Living Dead weekends in the past. I met him back in 2021. Anything you guys want to say about Anthony?
I mean, he were a cool dude. He were always friendly. He did once offer me his script with all his notes that he wrote, but yeah, I didn't have the money for that. when he offered me it. He wanted quite a bit. But yeah, I don't know what happened to it, but he offered to sell me it once, and I never bought it.
You could have bought that, but instead you bought something else.
Yeah, but that were a lot more money. So,
Yeah. I'm just alluding to this story again.
yeah, I'll talk about it later.
Come on. Nobody's watching. Nobody's watching this.
Right, let's move on.
Well, I'm gonna ask you in person. So
Okay.
All right. And then the last thing I wanted to bring up is the panel discussions. There hasn't been a schedule or anything released for the panel discussions yet. Is there a are those set? Are they gonna be announced within this week? I guess.
I think so. Yeah, I think Kevin will be putting it together. It's just he needs to make sure everything's set out, and there's no gaps missing or overlapping and things. But I'm sure when we I haven't actually got it myself yet, but he usually does send me one, and it'll go on the website as soon as I get it.
Okay.
So yeah, we're just waiting.
Is the plan to still do it in the Romero court?
That's probably where. Yeah, that's probably where it'll be. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah. So that's this year. I guess the tickets are still available. You can still get weekend passes and all that. TheLivingDeadWeekend.com. TheLivingDeadWeekend.com. Get tickets through there. Tours are sold out. VIP sold out. Are there any tickets still left for the Sunday brunch or the Friday screening? Do you guys know of?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. You would have to check on the website, honestly.
Well, it'd be, if they're available, they'll if you click the tickets link and go to the tickets, it'll either be sold out. If there's none left, it'll say sold out. But if there are some left, then you can buy them. But other
It'll be a surprise.
Yeah,
it's a surprise. You'll have to go there to find out.
just click on the link and see if they're available. And there will be tickets available on the day as well, on the door. So come to the convention. Friday tickets, Saturday tickets, Sunday tickets. So yeah,
there you go. You see, we hit the chat here. Stuka says, I want to see the VR thing of the living quarters from Dawn when they had it looking nice. Yeah, there we go. That'd be something kind of simple. Probably wouldn't take nearly as long as actually doing the whole mall.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, since I need an autograph from Sherman Howard and Howard Sherman. So there you go. We're gonna have one of each. Howard Sherman was great in the stand. Yeah, Howard Sherman's been in quite a few things. Since saying Larry will give us each a bag of hard candies free. So that'd be a funny thing to do on your tour. As kind of a little gift bag. Just a little bag of hard candies, See Jeff saying, yeah, the photo shoot for the Ritz is must do. Yeah. That's another one of the all four main zombies classic. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty cool. Some pretty cool ideas, and some of the backdrops and stuff that they built for those is looking pretty damn cool too. So, but guys, I will see you guys here soon. Less than a week away. I'll be there Thursday. Larry, I don't know when are you? I'm surprised you're not there already. But when are you planning on getting in, man?
I am still getting a lot of things ready and prepared, and I hope to leave sometime tomorrow. I also have to be there for Wednesday morning, no matter what, because I have an appointment at the archive of George Romero at Pitt.
That's right. Have you checked that out yet, Daz?
No, I haven't had a chance to go yet. So,
dude, you got to. I went once and I was there for 4 hours. I was like, I went. It's like after a Living Dead weekend, it was that Monday morning. I had to get back by that night, and I was like, I'll get there, 8 a.m. I'll look through. I didn't scratch the surface on like half of the stuff that I had them pull out to look at. I was just like, man, I could spend days here if I had the chance. That's really cool. Anything in particular that you're going to be looking at, or specifically that you want to take a look at, Larry?
No, I have a large variety of things that I, applied to or asked for so that I can look at them, including a lot of scripts and just all kinds of production materials. What I'm always looking for are little bits of information about film locations that I may not know. Also, just anything about financial stuff, how much things cost. And also when I also want to know what's out there, because I'm a big collector and I have a lot of stuff in my collection. I want to know what an original script looks like that was George's or somebody that was on the crew. So then when I'm out there searching for collectibles and looking to buy collectibles, I know what's real or what's a reprint or what is like a second version. I want to know for my collection what's out there. So I want to know what's at the archive, so I can compare.
Yeah.
You can also look at what I don't have and then look for them, that kind of stuff.
Find some shit you realize that you don't have, but you definitely need.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of that in the archive. So you're gonna. It's an overwhelming experience because I left and I was just kind of like woozy, like I wasn't even in reality anymore. I was just like, wow, what did I just read? What did I just see? It's pretty incredible. It's pretty incredible stuff. Seth, we'll see you soon, man. A few days away, traveling in from California. So I will see you here in a few days, my man. Bonnie, always a pleasure having you, and have a great time next weekend. I'll be living vicariously through your experiences, and that's the thing to do with Synth Attic. He's going to be filming and documenting almost every minute of every day that he's there. So subscribe to his channel, Synth Attic on YouTube, and you can be there vicariously, kind of like Bonnie's doing. So. Jeff, always a pleasure seeing you. Thank you, Michael, Lawrence, and Des. Everyone in the chat, have a great week. See you at the convention.
Thank you all.
John, always a pleasure. I need to check out that Wine of the Fawn investment pamphlet. Yeah, you need to get in there too, John. You'd bust the spring probably being in there. Matt, yes sir. See you in a few days, my man. Saying, look for my endless coverage of the Living Dead Weekend Experience. There you go. Johnny, glad you were able to make it. Great show. Have a great weekend. Wish I was there. Wish you were too, my man. Wish you were too. Guy, good to see you again, man. Thanks, everyone. Great join stream. Brilliant. Absolutely. Thank you, sir. But Larry, Daz, it's been fun. I look forward to seeing both of you here in a few days. Safe travels.
Thank you.
Both of you. I know you got a long way to go, Daz. So safe to you. Yeah. Safe to... everybody be safe. Let's all get there in one piece, and when we get there, let's all have a beer and then have a hell of a time and celebrate these films that we love so much. So, looking forward to doing that.
Nice to see you, Cole. See you soon.
Yeah. So thanks a lot, guys. Nope. What was that,
Larry?
See you all at the mall.
Yeah.
And but stay scared.